What is going down? YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Niner Empire. Oh man, I am pumped up. I am fucking pumped up because tomorrow is Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas as the 49ers looked to finally get that sixth Lombardi trophy. It's been 29 years. It's the third Super Bowl they played in the past 11 years. The second Super Bowl that they played in the past 5 years. But it has been here since they finally won the whole thing. And of course, I was just in good old Viva Las Vegas. I had a blast. It was fucking lit. It was dope. I went there last Sunday night, got there late, had so many things happen. Got a flat tire on the way there. Had to wait an hour for AAA to come. The next day, later the next day, car's battery was dead. But I was the weirdest thing because I didn't know what it was at first because I couldn't even get into the car. I had to manually unlock it. I had to have it jump the next day. Just a bunch of weird shit happened to me personally on the trip, but it was a good ass trip nonetheless. Met a kid I met on here years ago that's a New York Giants fan from Pittsburgh. Hung out with him. Hung out with my good friend Steve, who I met on YouTube years ago as well, who I've gone to a lot of 49er games with, including the NFC Championship game a couple years ago. And he's also still in Vegas, and I sent him a link, so if he might end up joining and giving us a live report on what it is like back in Las Vegas. I'll tell you what, as far as the crowds, the Niners or Chiefs crowds, it was primarily a lot more Niner fans. There were a lot of Chiefs fans as well, but with it being with the Bay Area being a closer destination to Las Vegas and Kansas City, I'm not surprised at all that there were more 49er fans, but there was a lot of stuff on the Spear, which I got to go to the Spear. There were some images projected of Brock Purdy as well as Patrick Mahomes. I've heard people say that it looked like they may have shown some bias to Mahomes. I wouldn't necessarily say that. I would say that Las Vegas pretty much was equal and everything. Although one thing I will say is I felt like Allegiant Stadium. I think when I went by Allegiant Stadium, there was some more noticeable Mahomes picture on the stadium, maybe. But overall, I would say it was equally representation for both. But it is a Patrick Mahomes era. And he is the Tom Brady of the 2020s. So it's no surprise that he's going to get a lot of support and a lot of advertisements because he's already on there. A lot more than Purdy, who was the last pick in the draft a couple years ago. And the disrespect that he's gotten, I'm not going to really say from the national media because, hey, Stephen A. Smith, who, by the way, I happened to watch do a live broadcast for a few minutes unintentionally. I just saw him in a live broadcast through the window of a mall, and I think it was one of the casinos in Vegas. He has given Brock Purdy nothing but respect for the most part. Now, other people such as Colin Cowherd, who I watched a clip on Instagram today of him talking about how Purdy's quarterback rating in the past couple games haven't been good, and maybe Kyle Shanahan will consider having a quarterback controversy next season between him and Sam Darnold if they can't get it done. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? And Colin Cowherd is a very smart guy. He helped me get into liking sports in general back when I was 9 years old. his show was what first got me aware of sports. So I don't want to call him stupid, but that was a really, really stupid take there by Colin I've heard him months ago was talking about Purdy can't be a franchise quarterback because he wears his hat backwards. Just all kinds of weird shit in general. But it hasn't. I wouldn't say it's necessarily been the national media or ever. It's been a handful of people in the national media and a handful of even a few former athletes that aren't giving him the respect. But I would say the majority of people do give him the respect he deserves. But Cam Newton, a former player, saying he's just a game manager, he's not a game changer, and kind of working that back on when he was on made an appearance on Radio Row. Well, yes, he is a game manager. You have to be a good quarterback, you have to manage the game. But he's more of a game changer because of the fact that the Niners would not be where they are with Trey Lance. The Niners most years are not in the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. Yes, 2019 they did make it to this game with Jimmy Garoppolo, but Jimmy Garoppolo in the regular season was playing MVP like for a few games, but then he started to struggle. But Kyle Shanahan's system, along with the running game, was able to put them in a good position. Shout out to Keeping the Faith. He says all the dudes hating on Purdy have one thing in common. They're all watching Purdy play in the Super Bowl instead of playing in it. Yeah, that's true. And how poetic is it that Cam Newton, of course, lost a Super Bowl played at the 49ers home stadium, as a matter of fact. And despite having a great year that year, just flat out choked in the Super Bowl. He didn't just lose the Super Bowl, he choked in the Super Bowl. So him being the one to hate on him is kind of ironic. And now this is a purchase that I made at the Super Bowl experience that if we do not win tomorrow, I'm just gonna have to throw it away. But I did in fact purchase. Oh fuck, it's backwards. I know it's upside down. There you go. This is something that I'm hoping to keep. 49ers, don't make me have to throw that out, please. Just don't. Get the fucking job done. Do it. Now, this is the best opportunity to because this Kansas City Chiefs team has played the worst of any of its Super Bowl teams. Now, to say that it's impossible to get back to where they are next year if they don't get it done, that's not true. But having all the things go into place your way, getting that number one seed, getting the first round bye, to only having 2 home games in the playoffs to get to the Super Bowl, that's something they were not able to accomplish since the last time they were in the Super Bowl. So the Super Bowl window is open for years, as long as Kyle Shanahan is the head coach of this team, as long as Christian McCaffrey is on this team, as long as Brock Purdy is the quarterback. This Super Bowl window is far from over for years. But that being said, you have to get it done. You cannot lose a second Super Bowl to the same team. Yo. Shout out to good old Rockin' New Era, not Rockin' New Era 84. And by the way, Keeping the Faith, JD says, I got a Super Bowl hat. I'll burn it if we lose. Yeah, no, if yeah, that's see, I'm not really that superstitious, but when it comes to buying stuff with Super Bowl logos on it before the game, I would never buy anything ex- as expensive as a hat before the job is complete. But being something this cheap and something this cool, and I wanted to purchase something at the Super Bowl experience. Yeah, so I did not mind in that case. JD says if we don't win tomorrow, we're never gonna win it. Nothing is promised going forward. This is the year. That is true. This is the year where everything is going into place. And this is the best year to play the Kansas City Chiefs because you're playing the weakest Kansas City Chiefs in a year that they've made it to a Super Bowl. And now going back to Super Bowl 54, it was a much different it was two different teams and two teams that were the same that had a lot of simulators. Obviously, Andy Reid, Mahomes, but hey, you're not gonna have to face Tyreek Hill this time. But also, you didn't have to worry about Isaiah Pacheco back in the 1920 year, back in that Super Bowl, and now that is gonna be something that you're gonna have to kind of worry about because Isaiah Pacheco is a hell of a running back, and the Chiefs' offense in general with Mahomes is a hard offense to stop. Rocky and New Air asked, "What was the highlight of the Vegas trip?" Um, well, I will say that, and for a lot of you watching probably know, but for those that might be watching the archive of this or did not know, I got a chance to meet good old Vernon Davis. As a matter of fact, pull up that real quickly. Vernon Davis could not have been nicer. Gave me and my friend the time. He was waiting for the tram to at the same time as I was, same time as we were. He takes a picture with me, of course. Tell him about how his catch against the Saints was one of my favorite moments of all time as a Niner fan and all that. And I, even talked about his book coming out that I heard when he was interviewed on KBR. I talked a little bit about that. He's dedicated it to Mike Singletary. And more into that, another possible highlight of my Vegas trip would be this right there. And these girls are the ultimate scammers. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Those girls will take a picture with you, let you touch her ass, let you touch her legs, but then beg you to Venmo them $60, which I did not do, but I did Venmo them $10. Another fun thing I did on the trip, I went to Sapphire. My friend actually paid for the limo ride to Sapphire. For those of you that don't know, is a Las Vegas strip club, and this is where it gets funny. So I'm wearing my Niners gear, of course, and the bouncer is like, "Oh, we got a Kansas City Chief actually in the house. Chris Jones is in the house right now." I'm like, "Oh, okay," and I'm not gonna lie, I did pay for a few lap dances. I didn't last too long. I eventually decided to take a lift and head back to the hotel because my friend who's actually wanted who was planning this trip for months really wanted to go to that, and he paid for the limo ride, so I couldn't turn it down. But two of the girls that were actually giving me the lap dance said that they gave Chase Young a lap dance the other day. Now, so this is on Wednesday night, so this was probably maybe like Tuesday. So Chase Young had a bad play in the Lions game. He let Jahmyr Gibbs kind of walk right into the end zone, kind of. So I'm just gonna say that hopefully, if Chase Young, if somehow we lose this game because of Chase Young, I might think that maybe he spent too much time at the Sapphire. So yeah, I had to throw all that in there right now. Yeah, JD, I know. Yeah, it's stupid. And yes, hopefully the lap dance helps Chase Young. Yes, hopefully that ends up being what he needs to have a dominant game against Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, Las Vegas in general was just it's a very just cool city. I've only went there once before this since I've been 21. I went there a lot as a little kid. I went there a few times. I always just love the scenery there. But it's ultimately the perfect place to have a Super Bowl just for the fact that there's a lot of things to do if whether you're into gambling, whether you're into the crazy stuff that goes on there, or whether you just like a good city where you can walk around and tour and everything. It's a hell of a place to have a Super Bowl. And I could see them now, the times between when they've had Super Bowls in Arizona and the times, of course, when they were having the two at Levi's, Super Bowl 50, Super Bowl 60, 10 years apart. And let's see, 2008 to 2015, and then 2015 to 2022. So they do about 8 to 10 years. I'm gonna say that they're gonna at least try to have a Super Bowl in Vegas every 5 years. Now, next year, of course, is gonna be in New Orleans, and hey, that would be a hell of a place to have. The Niners already played a Super Bowl in New Orleans, of course, the 2012-13 Super Bowl. That's gonna be a lit atmosphere, and then the following year, you got it at Levi's itself. And it's crazy, actually. The last time that the Niners or the Super Bowl was at Levi Stadium, it was a year after the Harbaugh regime, and a lot of people expected the Niners might end up playing in that Super Bowl. But at that point, a team has never played a Super Bowl when it's been hosted at their stadium, with an exception of the time when the Niners beat the Miami Dolphins at Stanford Stadium. Which, by the way, I was listening to a lot of the Super Bowl replays today that they played on KNBR. It wasn't on their YouTube stream, but it was on their regular streaming was played it. So I listened to some of that actually. I listened to the first Super Bowl, Super Bowl 16 from 1981, played in January of 1982. Lon Simmons, of course, did all of them. I before I hopped on, they were playing the 88-89 one with Joe Montana to the John Taylor, which ended up being the game-winning catch. So it was really cool hearing all that. But anyway, so I'm getting a little sidetracked. But the Niners are this window is going to be, like I said, is going to, even though they do have to win tomorrow, the Super Bowl window is going to be open for years to come. So I could very well see them playing in the Super Bowl that they end up having at their stadium. And of course, two teams in a row, which is, I think, is very weird. The fact that up until the 2020-21 season, when Tom Brady with the Buccaneers beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, that was the first time the Super Bowl has ever been played in the home of the team, and they won. And then the following year, the Rams played it at SoFi. They shouldn't have been in it, but that's beside the point. The Rams ended up winning it at SoFi. So I think that's crazy that you go from years with not having a team even play at their home stadium, and then 2 years in a row you have it happen. That's like, wow. I think stuff like that's fascinating, if you ask me. So some other news, of course, Patrick Willis gets inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and that seems like a good omen, doesn't it? By the way, another speaking of good omens, I saw something crazy on a 49ers Facebook. Well, I shouldn't call it that crazy. I think it's just very cool, you know. Now I fly Southwest Airlines. Southwest, I've always said this is my favorite airline. Just I've always liked their commercials growing up, and they don't have assigned seats. I saw on the 49ers Facebook group Jerry Rice in sitting on someone ends up sitting next to Jerry Rice on a Southwest flight to Vegas. That is just awesome that the GOAT is just one of us. He's not gonna, he doesn't need to fly first class, doesn't need to fly on a private jet. No, he's just gonna fly on a Southwest flight, which I don't know if it was from SFO, San Jose, or Oakland, whatnot, but a Southwest flight from the Bay Area to Vegas. Jerry Rice is on it. What good? How good of an omen is that? Excuse me. I'm gonna link to a few people to this stream. Might want to join me. I might have a couple guests live from Vegas, possibly. Possibly. Might have some guests live from Sin City. Now, another thing that's cool is the Niners actually played, or excuse me, the Niners actually stayed at the exact same hotel in Lake Las Vegas that I had stayed for one night the previous time that I went to Vegas to go to the Niners Raiders preseason game. And Lake Las Vegas is about, it's in Henderson. It's about 40, I would say 45 minutes off the strip. And it's actually in a beautiful lake, by the way. So that's the perfect place if the, because they're staying at the Hilton, the same one I stayed at, and the Chiefs are also staying at, I think, a Marriott at Lake Las Vegas. So I think that's cool, and it's logical that they would try to keep the teams as far away from the strip as they can, but they're not going to stop them from at the beginning of the week kind of having some fun, partying it up a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't say partying it up, but doing some things, because I wondered how that would go. I wonder if they would completely try to, because I know that obviously for the preseason games, since they were just there for one day, they didn't want them on the strip at all when they played there. But Rocket asks, how many celebrities, athletes did you see run into in Vegas? You know, actually, we also ran into Scott Farrell, which now I'm kind of embarrassed. I personally didn't even recognize Vernon myself. My friend was the one that did. However, I actually didn't really look at him that much. I saw someone wear a Frank Gore jersey that he was talking to, and I didn't really see him that well. And I was like, oh, like I was like, I like your Gore jersey. And then all of a sudden, my friend's like, Danny, that's Vernon Davis. And I'm like, what? And yeah, he wanted me to get him to sign something, but I didn't have a pen on me, and I doubt Vernon just happens to have a pen in his pocket. So I wasn't gonna ask, but being able to actually interact, you know, take a picture and actually talk to an athlete is better than an autograph. That, you know, and speaking of autographs, and speaking of some news, Navarro Bowman is who this hat is signed by, is now the linebacker coach of the Los Angeles, formerly of San Diego Chargers. Of course, Jim Harbaugh also hired Greg Roman as the offensive coordinator. No surprise there. Oh yeah, JD, I did run into Scott Farrell. I forgot to tell you about that. Actually, I have a picture of that. Yeah, I did not recognize Scott Farrell. Well, I've heard. I would probably recognize just his voice. I haven't listened to him that many times overall. I've heard him before, but my friend, of course, recognized Scott Farrell, and I talked to Scott Farrell for a good few minutes as well. Actually, pull up the picture real quick. And he was a straight savage. Now, I knew he was on KNBR in the 90s a little bit. So that's the thing that I asked him about. And he was telling me, he's like, yeah, they didn't really like me there. Like, yeah, I worked with with Ralph and Gary Radnich and all them, but they didn't really like me. And I used to bring hookers into the studio. I used to smoke weed in the studio, so they didn't really like me that much. And yeah, he was straight. And I just thought that yeah, that was funny how he just went into details about about his career like that. And speaking of Ralph Barbieri, I posted my Instagram photo, and so Ralph's son Tate is actually a big Seahawks fan, and he actually commented this. I can't really say. I'll say he asked me if I asked Vernon how it felt when Cam knocked the life out of him. Like, wow. Yeah, yeah, JD, I sent you that earlier. I just thought I would share with that because yeah, I don't know why Tate's a Seahawks fan, but dang. So I'll say that. Yeah, he's cool though. He's a him and I have actually talked on Instagram, and he likes a lot of my photos, and we've talked. But yeah, he is a Seahawks fan, unfortunately though. But that's all right. Gonna want to welcome now. I might have some more guests from Vegas. I sent both of the people that are in Vegas. They're not gonna really be correspondents, but they're gonna talk about tomorrow's matchup a little bit. But I do have my co-host that just called in. As a matter of fact, his name is Sean, but I just call him by his avatar that he usually, or by his name that he has on YouTube, Bandwagoner 2011. And of course, he has the Jim Harbaugh profile pic as well. Welcome to the stream. Are you ready for Super Bowl 58?
I feel so old. I just turned 24 years old a couple days ago, and I cannot believe this is the third Super Bowl that I'm seeing in my lifetime where the 49ers are actually a part of it.
Yeah, man, I feel if you're feeling old being 24, I feel ancient being 27, just turning 27 and having it be the third Super Bowl that I've seen, as well as let's see, counting the championships that I've seen in general. Let's see, so
Are you talking about in
that,
your
no,
lifetime? Are you talking
so that'd
about
be
the
about yes.
appearances? In your lifetime,
appearances. Hold on. So that would be appearances would be 13. Well, 13 that I've watched, because
if you were born in 97, which was arguably the last great run by Steve Young.
Yeah, and I'm talking about all the I'm talking about the Warriors, Giants, all the
that.
when I say
Okay.
13, by the way, it's if you didn't already realize.
Warriors, by the way, just won a buzzer beater against Phoenix. They are on a winning streak, and they're back at 500, though.
Yes, I did see. I had that game when I was kind of prepping for the stream. Well, I was mainly listening to the Super Bowl with Joe Montana to John Taylor one on the replay of that. But I did have that on the background. I did see Steph hit that buzzer beater. The NBA GOAT, Steph Curry.
I wouldn't say he's the GOAT. I mean, he's shown too many times to me why.
And it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't a buzzer beater actually, but it ended up being a game win because it was with 7 seconds left. So it ended up being
no. It was 0 point. It wasn't even like tenths of a second. It was like barely.
It was right, but didn't the Suns the Suns kind of still got the ball back technically? So
yeah, but it was already
that's why I don't want to call it a buzzer beater, but it was a game winning 3 by Steph, and he just made it look so easy, like he always does.
Now, anyway, but to get on topic though, so
before we do, I'll the chat wants to wish you a late happy birthday. I wanted
thank you guys.
Throw that out there real
thank
quickly.
You very much. And it's also a happy year of the dragon, people. This is my year. And this is just awesome to see my team in the Super Bowl and Year of the Dragon, in a year that I've really been looking forward to for the past 12 years. In fact, the last time the 49ers went to the Super Bowl, it was in 2012. That was also Year of the Dragon. But yeah, it's not a coincidence. I'm a little superstitious in that regard. But anyway, Super Bowl 58.
Yeah, how come I never know? Like, I've never heard, not that often you even hear people talking about that anymore. I used to more when I was younger. I haven't heard, like, was not aware of the fact there was a Year of the Dragon.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But this game, which I've been waiting for quite some time, because everybody has been talking about during the conference championship weekend who it would be an easier matchup of the 49ers in Super Bowl 58, rather it be Kansas City or Baltimore. Well, now we have the matchup. It's against Kansas City. And to be honest, I feel conflicted still, because Kansas City's defense, when compared to what it was 5 years ago, no, 4 years ago technically, because it was 2019, not 2018. I felt like their defense is a lot better than that 2019 team, but their offense though has regressed significantly, which on paper should be good news for the 49ers. But as we've seen throughout the playoffs, the defense has been a little inconsistent. And it seems as if anything's going to win the 49ers, the Super Bowl, it's going to be the offense. So it's going to come against a very, very tough and physical Kansas City team who's got honestly good players there, especially Chris Jones.
Yeah, it's the it basically is the opposite, because the 2019 season, that Super Bowl, going into that Super Bowl matchup, the Niners had the better defense and the Chiefs had the better offense. And
But
yeah,
now
now
it's
it's
in reverse.
reversed.
49ers now have the better offense while Kansas City has the better defense. Because if you saw the playoffs, Kansas City's defense was just absolutely on fire. The only game where they really allowed a lot of points was really against Buffalo, but that was it. They only allowed like 10 points against Baltimore in the AFC Championship, and they allowed only 7 points against Miami in the wild card matchup. So their defense was absolutely the best in the entire playoffs. I am just absolutely impressed, which is unfortunate for all of us because we got to deal with all this media like circus around Taylor Swift and such. It's so annoying. And a lot, at the Super Bowl opening party for the experience in Vegas, one of the reporters there actually asked Purdy on stage with Mahomes right next to him if he was prepared to disappoint Taylor Swift on one last drive. And Brock and Mahomes
I didn't even hear that. Wow.
They were both laughing at that question because it was so dumb, so cringeworthy. It was ridiculous. But
no, was this on the media day or was this on the opening night that was on
opening night? Opening night.
Yeah. But by the way, that's another thing that I did not go to that, but only because I wasn't really aware of the fact that that was even taking place. Because apparently, I was like, since I was in Vegas, I was kind of pissed when I realized that was only $30 to get in, and I didn't even fucking even know about it until after the fact. So I was like, oh, okay.
But still, though, I mean, it was one of the dumbest, most cringeworthy questions I've ever heard because.
Well, the Super Bowl week is, I mean, that's nothing new. Every Super Bowl week, they always ask the dumbest questions.
I mean, yeah, they especially did it, I think, in other, media day.
But it's just for, it's kind of more just for show. It's more to, it's kind of more of a comedic element to it, though. They're trying to make it more laid back and fun. They're not trying to necessarily make it the media day, and in this case opening night it's never really supposed to be taken that seriously, so I don't necessarily blame them from asking any stupid cringeworthy questions. But
by the way,
you hear the one that did you hear the question of where someone asked Purdy if about the Lee Harvey Oswald?
Oh, that is okay. Now that is just fucking offensive. That is just offensive.
Yeah, that's a little too much. You could see he was uncomfortable by that question, and he just
he was like, I bet he was like, what the fuck are they asking me? Like, why are they asking me these questions? It's so stupid.
Why are they trying to compare me to the Kennedy killer? Like, come on, the
guy who literally assassinated the president of the United States? Are you serious right now? And besides, you compare them both. He doesn't even look like Lee Harvey Oswald. Not even close. He looks more like that teenage tennis player girl. By the way, she got invited to the Super Bowl, by the way.
Sentinel, welcome. By the way, I forgot to shout out Otis when he joined, so we, of course, got to give him the shout out.
But
Rockin says, tired of the cover. Yeah, I'm tired of how much the attention gets overall, but I will say that when they during the actual games, they compared that it only showed her for about maybe 13 seconds. I noticed in the Miami game, the game that was on Peacock. The game that was on Peacock that's where they seemed to show the most attention. Overall, they didn't show. I don't think they gave her that much.
Let me ask you this, Danny.
On the games itself,
what are
people more just coverage around it?
Let me ask you this question. When people are watching a football game, are they there to actually watch the game itself, or are they there just to see one person make a cameo appearance?
Well, hopefully the majority of people are there for the game itself, hopefully.
Exactly. And I don't honestly think most people are going to watch the Super Bowl just to see Taylor Swift. If
Well, people will watch the Super Bowl for the commercials. I mean, heck,
and
even my dad at one
also
point has been
they're
willing
also
to do like
probably going to
that.
watch it for Usher too. He's going to be the halftime show.
Yeah.
You know, I really am kind of mad that Niners weren't able to beat the Rams years ago because that halftime show, Super Bowl 56, that was a great all-time halftime show. I enjoyed every moment of that. You had Eminem up there, Kendrick Lamar, Dr. Dre. I think you had Ice Cube up there. I mean, you had some of the all-time greats of all rap, of gangster rap, and the fact 49ers just weren't there, that was kind of that sort of left a bad taste in my mouth. But hey, on the other hand, it was a local team that was repping them. It was a very LA centric Super Bowl, but it also felt kind of soulless too. It didn't really have a lot of character to it because it was an artificially built team versus a organically homegrown team. I mean, but yeah, that Super Bowl 56 halftime show was awesome.
That was, and actually, I went to the NFC Championship game the round before that, and they
Oh yeah,
had a halftime show in that game itself. That was the Chainsmokers, which actually was really cool. I mean, it didn't compare at all to the Super Bowl halftime show, but that was really cool because it was at SoFi Stadium, which is a concert venue, and it kind of looked like I was. It kind of looked like a concert vibes. Um, by the way, Rocket says if because Otis was talking about how let me find it. Oh, the show coverage is getting more and more annoying, and then and then Rocket said if Otis is getting annoyed, you definitely know there's something wrong. Yeah, because Otis is like one of the most chill people on the planet. I always say just like me to an extent. So if something's going wrong, you definitely if he's pissed about something, and if I'm pissed, and if I'm really pissed about something, then you know something's not right.
you know, another thing I want to mention is because my uncle just came to my room. You know, my uncle's like a huge 49er fan, and he just came back from Manila like last night or so. He was not able to see the Green Bay game, the divisional round, but he did see the Lions game.
He came back from where again?
Manila, the Philippines,
Oh, okay, I
to
got you.
visit family there. He was just like the thing is, this is a cool story, and this is a pretty wholesome one. Before the playoffs even started, I told him, Uncle, you can come over the night before the game. Like, you can stay over at my place. In the end, of course, if the 49ers go to the Super Bowl, yeah, you're definitely going to be coming here because you're part of it. Because the thing is, for a long time, ever since I first became a fan in 2011, he's been a key part of my game day experience at home. I mean, 49er games are very fun with him. And I'm glad he's here for this one, especially on my birthday, because it's just he's a fun guy to talk with. And I mean, what could you ask for? He's just a good uncle. I mean, I got another uncle too, who
It was
lives
your
in the
birthday a couple days ago, right?
Yeah, I'm 24
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I remember actually because I remember back in 2015, I noticed that you were exactly a decade apart from Clay Thompson. I remember.
That's right. Clay Thompson's an old geezer. I'm surprised he hasn't really. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like retirement is close for that man. I feel like he's getting there, unfortunately. But that's beside the point. But yeah, Super Bowl 58. Yeah, I'm an Aquarius. I'm an Aquarius like you. Oh man, you know we got
Capricorn
to.
gang. Oh, shout
By
out
the
to
way,
AJ Cruz, by the way. Shout
oh
out.
yeah, AJ, that guy's from Florida. By the way, I want to address Otis's comment above. Is she really gonna dump Travis Kelce if the Chiefs lose the Super Bowl? Will Travis Kelce ask her to marry him if the Chiefs win? Oh man, I would be fucking cringing more if the latter happened because here's the thing. It would be so scripty if they won it and then Kelsey proposes to Taylor Swift. I would be cringing. I'd be like, nope, I'm turning this shit off. I'm done. I will not watch that shit. I don't care if they're presenting out the trophy to Mahomie again. I don't care about any of that classic usual football stuff. But if we see a fucking celebrity proposal for a marriage that's likely going to fail, because most celebrity marriages fail. That's just the reality of it all. Then I don't want to see it. I don't care about it. The game's over, and everyone's gonna move on. And also,
Well,
here's
hold on.
here's
I'll say that no, because
yeah.
the Chiefs aren't going to win, so that's not going to happen anyway. But
Oh, I hope
even
not.
if that were, but even if like let's say the Chiefs did win, and that there's no way that Travis Kelsey would do that just because of the fact that everyone's predicting that. So that would, I mean, what kind of marriage proposal do you were the like? How is that a good marriage proposal when the whole world is expecting it? Like, I think
That
Taylor
would
Swift
be a
deserves a
whole
better
that is like a
marriage
whole
proposal than
Disney
that. Like, come on.
that would be a whole Disney-esque, like, story there, and I don't think anyone would like that. That would get massive criticism from many football fans, honestly. But are they gonna really listen to us if that does if it does happen? And,
Another thing is like going into the Super Bowl the last time the Niners played the Chiefs, the whole world, most of the world that wasn't into football probably had no idea who Travis Kelsey was, of course.
I mean,
And then
yeah, the only guys who really know who Kelsey really was us, honestly.
yeah, or just like the casual fan, like the casual fan
Chances
might
were, and,
at
I
that point
remember who
before they won
Travis
their Super Bowl
Kelsey
might have
was
not won. Yeah, right.
before
No, I mean
Patty
I
Mahomes
always
showed up.
he's Alex Smith was his quarterback at
A
one point, actually, of course. So he's
Alex
been in the
Smith,
league, I think, since 2013.
yeah, I'm telling you, man, if Alex Smith did not play for a shitty team, which was our Niners during that era, if he always played for a consistent coach, well, yeah, that's a Bronco fan right there. He's definitely rooting for us, I'm sure. By the way, I've heard a lot of Raider fans are conflicted about who to root for in this game. You have like one pack of the aisle who doesn't want to root for the 49ers because, well, they're the 49ers and they were the ex-rivals in the Bay. But then you have another pack of Raider fans who feel like the 49ers are the lesser evil here because the Chiefs are the rival. And Kansas City is now on the brink of tying, if not breaking, the Raiders' all-time Super Bowl championship like record. So if Chiefs were to win tomorrow, like tomorrow night, then they would have 4 rings, and they would have 3. And that is why. And I bet the Bronco fans are definitely on the same bandwagon too, 49er bandwagon.
Yeah, if the Niners win their sixth, they'll tie the
All
Patriots
time.
with
They would tie
the
New
all-time
England
record.
and
Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
right. Yeah, they'll
The
tie the
only
right because
team,
I remember. Yeah, the
yeah.
Steelers, the one that they won against the Cardinals, which I remember well.
Uh
That was their sixth. Yeah, that was their sixth Super Bowl, and yeah, the Patriots have 6 Super Bowls. So yeah, if the Niners are able to get the job done tomorrow, then they
They
will
tied
be
the
in that
all-time record.
category. Yep.
They tied the all-time record. And the thing is, I think New England also holds the record for the most conference championships. I think it's 10 or yeah, I think it's 10 or 11. I don't know. No, let me think about this. Let's see. Tom Brady is 7-3 in the big game. So 6-3. Okay, so that would be 9. And then yeah, it's 11. It's 11 conference championships. 49ers have 8. Dallas has 8. Pittsburgh has 8. So 49ers got to win at least 3 more NFC championship games in order to tie the all-time NFL record for most conference championships won. And you know what? Under Brock Purdy and this current front office, I think they absolutely can tie the record, if not break it.
Did you hear that Perry High School in Gilbert actually renamed their street Brock Purdy Way?
Oh my goodness. Oh, AJ made this comment. You may want to pin it here.
Yeah.
I cringe when I hear people say we should have gotten Rodgers. If we drafted him, the Niners would have ruined his career the way they did Smith with the changing OCs. And Nolan was a dope of a coach. Oh, absolutely. But here's a little counterclaim though. I don't know what would have happened, but in 2005, his future head coach in Green Bay, Mike McCarthy, was the offensive coordinator for the 49ers in 2005. So I don't know what would have happened if Rodgers went to the Niners instead of Green Bay. Maybe the Niner ownership or the front office would have sided with McCarthy in a coup d'etat or something, and then they would have promoted him to head coach. I don't know. We'll never know. But it's fun to think about. But the fact of the matter is, the past is the past. We missed out on Rodgers. We got
Hey, it's
Alex
funny
Smith
how
instead.
Rodgers after that draft said he was asked how disappointed are you that you weren't drafted by the 49ers, and he said not as disappointed as the 49ers will be that
Oh,
they didn't draft me. And then what ends up happening, they end up owning him in the postseason.
that's the thing is that I don't feel that disappointed. I mean, yeah, the 2000s and the early 2000s were rough on us, but if you look at the bigger picture, we were just fine without Aaron Rodgers. Just fine. And besides, if you look at his playoff record too, Are you kidding me? It's not even a contest. I honestly would rather have what we have now than what Aaron Rodgers did in Green Bay
No,
all
AJ
day,
also
every day.
makes a good point now, saying Rodgers also would also have lost out on sitting behind Favre all those years, so he would have also lost out on the insight and preparation. They had a solid foundation. He slid right in. Yeah, that is true. I mean, you never know because for all we know, maybe Aaron Rodgers could have been a good quarterback even without sitting under Brett Favre. But the fact that Brett Favre, who's an all-time great,
And a
is the
corrupt
starter and you
person.
get to just be the backup to him. I mean, shit, how well could he learn? A lot of people were saying that Jimmy probably learned a lot from sitting behind Tom Brady for all those years as well.
Yeah, but the problem is that it always doesn't work out because Jimmy ended up getting traded. And then after 5, 6 years in San Francisco, he ends up going to a team that ends up basically destroying his career, which is the Raiders. There's never going to be a proper successor to anybody unless, I don't know, you have all the right pieces and all the right people in charge to ensure that the transition goes smoothly. And in Jimmy's case, the transition clearly did not go smoothly.
By the way, did you hear Jimmy's Super Bowl prediction?
I heard he predicted Kansas City would win 35-31 against the 49ers.
Yeah. Now, okay. Normally, I'm not one to say, "Hey, you shouldn't give your own opinion. You should you should just go to the script and see what people want to hear." In this one case, I would say that maybe Jimmy shouldn't have publicly put that out there because
That was a dickbag move right there. That's a
yeah, like because
dickbag move.
he is kind of the quarterback that was the starter the last time they lost to the Chiefs. Whether you want to blame it all on him or not, he still was the starting quarterback of the last time they played a Super Bowl against the Chiefs. So I think
Also,
that's kind of
Rodgers, I want to mention this. Rodgers, throughout his career, here's the thing. This is why I don't get too mad about Rodgers. Because let's first of all mention his NFC Championship game record. He's only won one. Just one. You have then 2014, his team choked. 2016, they got destroyed by Atlanta. Then you had 2019, they got destroyed too. 2020, they choked. And then you have us. We appeared in 7 NFC Championship games and went 3-4. Come on. That's not even close. You already know whose situation I'd rather be in. And I'd rather
and
not
he
be the
does have a Super
Packers.
Bowl ring.
True. But again, I want a team that's consistent, a team that is more complete on both sides of the ball. And in this case, I'd rather be the 49ers than the Green Bay Packers because Green Bay never gets their defense right. And even when they did, it was too little too late. It was too late.
Otis says, "Yeah, I'm surprised Jimmy G didn't pick the Niners. Maybe sour grapes, or I wonder how all the Jimmy stands feel about that." I would hope that Jimmy would be rooting for his old teammates. I'm not sure if he was asked that.
I know Montana's rooting for the 49ers.
Right. And you don't have. I would say that would be the one case where even if Jimmy did believe the Chiefs were going to win, he probably should just, for the fuck of it, pick the Niners for the fact that he's.
I felt like that tells you that it ended badly, honestly, between him and the team. And I mean, yeah, it's a little petty, but at the same time, you can sort of understand because he's mad that Kyle Shanahan simply trusted some kid, some 23, 24-year-old looking geek from fresh out of college that was picked literally the last pick of the draft over him. The fact that Shanahan trusted Purdy more than Jimmy, that's just unbelievable. And that's something that even Jimmy doesn't still get to this day, I bet.
I mean, you would hope that he would have to get that's just how it works. Because when Jimmy was injured, Purdy looked way more effective than him.
And you knew
the offense
also, I wouldn't say
was able
Montana
to run so many passing plays that he would never dream of running with Jimmy at quarterback.
I also wouldn't say Montana is bitter.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I disagree that he's had something against the Niners now. I just think
he literally appeared in the NFC Championship game against Detroit. That tells you all you need to know about Montana's feelings towards the Niners. And the fact that Jed invited him up to the stage when they were presenting out the Hallis Trophy. I think he's rooting for the 49ers in this bowl. For sure.
Yeah. Now, the last time, about 4 years ago, he got a lot of hate because he had a funny tweet saying, "I already guarantee my team wins the Super Bowl," and then would just had fun with it. Oh, my team's gonna win. He gave even a score prediction that said my team. It's kind of being tongue in cheek, like, "Oh, I play for both teams, so I can't." So my team's gonna win 100%. Which actually technically was the case for the Harbaugh parents before the Niners Ravens Super Bowl because regardless, their kid was gonna
Win.
win the Super Bowl. Um, but no, I think he was just having fun with that. Like obviously
Yeah.
he was more of a Niner, and his profile pic on Twitter where he's saying that has him in a Niners jersey, so that says all you need to know there. I think he was just having fun with that. I don't think it was really bitter. Yeah, it's stupid, but I wouldn't I don't take that seriously. It's just
Yeah, I mean, then again, that was a long time ago. But also, Eddie D was against trading Joe Montana. He always wanted to keep him. He never really thought Steve Young was going to be as great as Joe was. And to be honest, he was right in the end. Steve was never as great as Montana. Let's just be honest. As great as Young is, he's not Montana.
AJ says, I respectfully disagree. I think Joe never got over being traded. He distanced himself from the Niners for many years. That's why Steve has become the people's quarterback, and he's always there. Yes, I agree 100% with that. Steve definitely is the people's quarterback, and he's a way better ambassador to the Niners than Joe Montana is. But it's Joe still, I would say he's still. Now, what I think is interesting is Steve and Joe, it's kind of interesting how they don't really seem to be that. I mean, I've seen them do some commercials together, but it seems like they particularly, obviously, they're not friends, of course, and they don't seem to have particularly. I don't think they particularly have a good relationship.
You
Which
know
I think is,
what's
or but I wouldn't.
really
I'd have to know like fully to completely make that statement. But I kind of have a feeling that they don't seem to have the best relationship even
Of
nowadays.
course, because I mean, what happened at work? That's the thing. But
Yeah.
what's really going to be interesting going into next season, like because I cannot believe this is going to be the last game for the next like 7 months, almost the whole year. But anyway, what's going to be very interesting is when you go on Fox every Sunday, starting from September 2024 and onward. Guess who's going to be in the broadcasting booth?
Good old Tom Brady.
Oh yeah, 49er fan number one.
Well, I've heard him say in interviews that since they didn't pick him, he
I
even though
heard
he grew up a Niner fan, he's never
he's been
rooted for
so
them.
salty.
I mean,
He's been
obviously
so
you can't root
salty.
for them, but you know.
But you know what? It's going to be very awkward. You know why? Because let's say the 49ers remain championship contenders for a while, especially after tomorrow night's game, no matter what. Tom Brady's going to have to commentate a lot of 49er games. It's going to be so awkward for him. I don't know, because the thing is, oh yeah, Giants are definitely not going to be. But I'm just saying that we're going to hear Tom commentating over Brock Purdy a lot throughout Brock's career. That's just the way it's going to be. I'm looking forward to it, even though I don't know. Be honest, are you guys looking forward to Tom Brady commentating over Brock Purdy's play
I
style?
am, because I truly do think that Brady definitely loves watching Purdy and sees his younger self in him. So I definitely am looking forward to that. Yes.
Man, it's going to be so interesting if the 49ers go to another championship game next year and Tom Brady is in the booth at Levi Stadium. That's just it's going to be very awkward. And a lot of 49er fans are going to look up. You know what? I think 49er fans have a mostly positive attitude towards Tom.
I'm gonna grab water just take over the stream for just like a minute. I'm gonna just fill this water up real quickly.
But yeah, it's gonna be very awkward because a lot of 49er fans are still mad about Mooch making that very, very bad pick with Giovanni Carmazzi and all. Yeah, people, I know who he is. The goat farmer, the yoga exercising goat farmer. I don't know how to say it. I'm speaking gibberish right now. A lot of 49er fans seem to respect Tom because, for one, well, yeah, he's the GOAT, obviously, but also, second of all, he's part of the community, at least the Bay Area community at some point, though nowadays not so much anymore because he seems more of a Florida man now than really a California guy. But yeah, he's mostly, yeah, I agree, AJ. He's definitely going to be another talking head, whether you agree with him or not. But I'm definitely looking forward to what he has to say about Brock Purdy in the broadcasting booth because, on Twitter, I've been seeing him talking with Steve Young, who, by the way, I bet Tom was definitely a fan of back in the day, too, before the 49ers backstabbed Tom in the back at the draft in 2000. The fact is, he likes Brock Purdy. He enjoys watching him, and I think he's rooting for him, especially. I feel like he also gained Tom's respect in that Tampa Bay game in 2022 when we destroyed them 35-7.
Yeah, he signed Dre Greenlaw's interception ball.
I'm not on Twitter at the moment. I'm not on Twitter. And I don't honestly think I'll intend on making one because Twitter is a shit show at the moment. It's bad. It's really bad there. I would not recommend
By
going
the way,
there.
speaking of that, we're actually also streaming live on Twitter as well, aka X,
X. That is a
which
that is a dumbass name. Like, what the fuck
it
was Musk
truly
thinking?
is. Like I was in favor of Elon buying Twitter itself, but I definitely am not in favor of that. I think, and that kind of shows that maybe he shouldn't be running it.
Yeah, but yeah. So the thing is, by the way, I saw on your Instagram or so or Facebook that you actually met Vernon Davis in person
I
in
sure
Vegas.
did. Yes,
What
yes. I
was
actually
Vernon
touched on
like?
that a bit. Vernon was very nice. He could not have been nicer, actually. Believe it or
Did
not,
you
he
ever
was.
think? Did you ever think you would ever meet Mr. Post himself in person ever?
I did not, and it's funny. I had a big regret that because talked about how his catch against the Saints was my favorite was one of my favorite moments, and I accidentally called it the catch two instead of the catch three.
Oh
But I
my god. But you know what I have if I had the chance to meet him, I would have said, "Dude, you are the reason why I've become a 49er fan."
oh yeah, because that was the first year that you were old enough to watch, right? Yeah.
No, that was when I started to really get into it, and it was because of his catch. I'm a Niner fan today. I definitely would love to meet the guy, love to shake hands with him, get a picture with him. I would absolutely would love to get it if possible. He looks like a really nice guy, and I'm very happy that he was able to get the Super Bowl ring before he retired.
Yeah, and it's kind of fitting he won the Super Bowl at Levi's.
Yeah, with Denver. With
Yep.
Denver. Give a shout out to
Yep.
Corwin, by the way, because they gave
Yeah,
Vernon his
shout out
ring.
to Core. I don't know if he's still in there. I think Otis is asking. And by the way, Otis, since I'll answer your question. Corwin does have a channel that has some videos up. I think just
He's a
search
good
that
guy. Funny guy.
Corwin 719 and you'll find. I don't think he's in there, but yeah, shout out to him and shout out to his Broncos for winning that Super Bowl at Levi's. And yeah, no, I like how my friend actually was able to recognize him because I personally. No, not that I don't know if I would have recognized him myself. I didn't get a good look at him before that. I was actually looking at and I was talking with a Niner fan next to him. I was like, "Oh, I like your Gore jersey." And then all of a sudden my friend's like, "Yo, Danny, that's Vernon Davis." And I'm like, "What?" Like, so I'm happy. And not only that, I'd be scared to actually go up to a celebrity and just ask, "Hey, are you are you so and so?" Because if it's not, then I would just feel.
I would tell you, to be honest, the one guy who I really want to meet right now is Brock Purdy, because Brock just looks like somebody, let's be honest, you and I would probably confuse him for somebody that we would like go to school with.
Yeah.
He's like
Well,
the most.
he's in Arizona, so there's a chance I could meet. Although he lives about an hour from.
Did Cactus Shadows ever go up against Perry
I
in football?
actually looked that up, believe it or not. I actually did look that up, and I don't think they ever did. I did look up if Cactus Shadows ever won against Perry, and I guess they did not. But
Oh, but seriously, Brock is just like the most average Joe looking person you could ever see. He's like not your typical celebrity guy. He looks like somebody who you would go up to on the street and just pass on by as if he were just another average, like he's like your typical normal looking white guy. I don't know. That's why I like him. He just looks so plain and looks so relatable. He's definitely somebody who I would love to meet and definitely have a sit down and chat with, because he just looks like a very humble person, and he looks like somebody who I can definitely relate to, especially, I mean, he's literally the same age as me. So I think him and I would connect very well, but who knows?
yeah, I think George Kittle would be my favorite, like the best, the top on my list to me, just because of his personality and
Oh,
his
in the
sense of humor.
chat,
Just like what a
there's
good
two
dude he
things
is.
I want to bring up, by the way. It is now official. Patrick Willis is now officially in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Absolutely, I touched that earlier. Yes, Patrick Willis is now in the Hall of Fame. Yes.
Well deserved. It's a shame that his last season was literally injury filled, but it doesn't make an excuse that he had a great career. But again, it just, what could have been, and if he had won that one ring in 2012, like, man, it still sucks. And then during the same time, Matt Miyoko, who that's literally everybody's favorite 49er journalist, he met with a very old familiar face. And that's the guy in my profile picture. Harbaugh, by the way, I need to just mention it. He finally admitted what we all literally said all on about that game. Why the fuck did you not run the ball?
Yes, I did. I did hear him say. I did hear that interview where he said that, where he wished that he'd run the ball. It'd be
So
pretty.
he finally admits it. He
I would
finally
be
admits it.
surprised if he wouldn't have. Because I feel like any coach that makes that mistake and is analyzed that many times is gonna agree with everyone else that, yeah, I should have made that move. So I'm not surprised that he admitted
I
that at all.
almost believe he's indirectly cautioning Kyle Shanahan too, because that's literally like his worthy successor, his heir to the throne. I feel like Jimmy was trying to warn Kyle, don't make that same mistake as I did. Run the ball. Run the ball. Why would you pass it like if you're running it so well? Like that's what happened in Super Bowl 47. If you don't run the ball, you're probably going to lose the football game. And throughout the playoffs, the biggest weakness to Kansas City's defense is that run defense. They cannot defend well against the run.
Yeah, I think they're ranked 17th against the run.
Mid. That's mid.
Shout out to 49er Tone, who's a YouTube legend, who's in the house. He says, I'm not gonna be able to sleep, Danny. Can't wait for the game, my brother. Let's get it. Let's fucking go. Yes. Shout out to Tone. He's an OG, long
But yeah,
time.
as I said, Harbaugh in a way warned Shanahan, don't literally fuck up again. Run the ball, like just run it. Pass when necessary, but like don't overthink it. When you get to like the red zone, you got to run the ball and kill that clock and keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. No
AJ,
excuse.
to answer that question, I would definitely say CMC at this point, just because of how much
It's too early. It's too early. No, it's too early. Listen, for me, this is too early. Right now, I'm still gonna say it's Frank. I mean, come on. I grew up with Frank, and I mean, I saw him do his thing when he was around. Literally, it's not even a contest for me at this moment. But if CMC wins a Super Bowl with the 49ers, then yeah, I'm gonna give it to CMC. But for now, I still prefer Frank for the simple fact that Frank has done far more for us so far throughout our franchise history than CMC does. But I hope to God CMC can do what Frank couldn't do.
Right. Now, Frank, of course, obviously has better stats of all time because he's been there for years. And Frank's one of my favorite 49er players of all time. I would only lean to CMC just because of how much of a difference maker he is in every game. Like you wouldn't see Frank Gore get 3 touchdowns in almost every game. You wouldn't see him necessarily go on a touchdown streak of 16 straight games and all that. So I would give the edge to McCaffrey in that regard because he might end up being the greatest running back in this franchise, which right now Gore is the best running back in this franchise.
Look,
history.
CMC needs to play. Look, for me to reach that criteria, CMC needs to win at least 2 to 3 NFC championship games with this team. That's my minimum criteria. He needs to play at least 5 years with this team, at least. And yeah, and stay healthy, of course. Stay healthy, play well, win a few conference titles, win at least one Lombardi, and then you have already toppled Frank. It doesn't matter if you don't have as much, like less stats than Frank does, but as long as you help them win the big ones, then that's all it really matters at the end of the day. And I feel like CMC is definitely going to lead them to get to that point. And also, he was at the NFL Honors a night or two ago. He won, I think, Offensive Player of the Year. He didn't win MVP, but he did win Offensive Player of the Year. Lamar took the MVP, which was no surprise to anybody.
Yeah, they should make the MVP just a quarterback award because honestly, like when I was saying this whole time that I thought CMC should have gotten the MVP, I think Offensive Player of the Year is literally the perfect award he could get. Also, that's how much of a difference maker he is on this offense in general.
CMC also reminds me of Debo. He's like Debo if he was white. I remember when we first
CMC
traded for him.
One of the best white boy athletes in the NFL.
I remember when we first traded for CMC in 22 when he was still in Carolina. My first reaction was, holy crap, they actually traded for a guy who essentially plays like Debo, except, well, he's white. Their playing style is very similar, if not almost identical. Because Debo is a runner. He's like a good, like a running back, sort of, if you got to force him to be that way. And CMC is also a good running back too, but he also receives. again, and as I said, I feel like Debo and CMC are sort of like in this category of like dual threat running backs. You know how there's like dual threat quarterbacks where they both run and pass? Well, from my point of view, Debo and CMC are sort of like dual threats in their own way because they not only run, but they can also receive. That's a dual threat, like running back, a dual threat wide receiver.
Yeah,
And
and Debo is
CMC,
kind of the opposite because Debo's well, not so much, not as much as in the 21, the in 2019 and in 2021, but Debo, of course, being a receiver and being used as a running back is another example of that.
CMC was literally. I also feel like they got CMC to also lift the burden off of Debo just to make sure he doesn't get hurt as much. Because what Debo does is very dangerous and can potentially shorten his career, like the length of his career. Like it's obvious why they got CMC. It's to relieve Debo of that pressure. And then Debo would become more of your typical wide receiver, which he has been able to do under Brock. Like Brock literally, ever since Purdy literally started for this team, Debo became more of a typical wide receiver. And in my opinion, that's going to help him in the long run in his career. And man, watching that NFC Championship game when right when the clock struck 0 and Debo was just squatting down like on the field, he was just like holy shit, I'm actually going back to the Super Bowl because it was a stark contrast to that 2021 heartbreaker against LA when he was crying on the bench on the sideline. But then you just see him. He's like he I don't know what kind of facial expression to describe it, but he looked shocked. He looked like he was like taken by joy in a way. It's just he didn't really overly express it, but it was like a stark opposite contrast compared to what happened years ago in
Yeah,
LA.
well, for all the players that were on the 2019, Debo, Kittle, for all of them, like to be able to get that revenge potentially against the Chiefs and be able to actually do what they came to do all those years ago,
It'd be poetic.
you're definitely gonna. Sorry, what was it?
It would be poetic if they got that revenge. But it's
Oh,
not going to be
absolutely.
easy. But let me warn you all right now. This may be the only chance that any teams opposing Kansas City would have. Because after this season, I feel like Kansas City is going to address their biggest problem, and that's the wide receiver position. Mahomes has been complaining hard about that. This is like, I don't know if it's going to be possible to beat Kansas City in the future. They're literally a dynasty in the making, but I'm telling you, once they get that wide receiver position fixed, then
I will be back
yeah,
here,
they'll be good again.
and I will be back with a vengeance.
Yes.
Oh yeah, they got to finish that. They got to finish
Absolutely.
it this time. They cannot pass it too much with Brock. That's literally. I mean, Brock is better. I mean, you could definitely rely more to throw the deep ball, but still, I would not risk it. If given the opportunity, you got to run it. You got to run the ball. You cannot overly pass it with Brock like you did with Jimmy.
Yes. Well, now I do expect to see some passing plays from Purdy to Kittle and Debo and Ayuk and all that. But yes, they need to rely more on the running game. Not hopefully not just CMC, but maybe Kyle Juszczyk. Get him some plays.
Maybe give it a bit to
Elijah Mitchell, of course.
maybe give it a bit to Mitchell. Why not?
Yeah.
If Mitchell's playing, then give it to Mitchell. Just hope he doesn't fumble.
Like, didn't Kyle Juszczyk have a couple touchdowns, or at least didn't he score? Yeah, he scored a touchdown in Super Bowl 54, didn't he?
He scored one. He got a receiving touchdown from Jimmy.
Yeah.
I honestly think Super Bowl 54 was very winnable. They could have won that game had they not passed it too much with Jimmy. They should have never passed it with Jimmy that much. Because if you remember the game before, in the NFC Championship game against Green Bay, they ran the ball so many times. They didn't even pass it with Jimmy that much. They didn't trust him. And it's a little different now because now they have a guy who they can absolutely trust to throw the football. But against this Kansas City defense, it's not going to be easy. And that's why I think they should run it more, especially since Kansas City has a superior secondary than the 49ers.
Shout out to Big Bear. He says, "Let's go. I am so ready. Probably not going to sleep. Just wanted to stop by and show some respect for the stream. Niner Empire for life." Yes, Big Bear is a YouTuber that I've known since 2009. And as a matter of fact, I drove through his hometown when I went on the way to Vegas and back. I actually got a flat tire right after I drove through his hometown.
By the way, so Danny, I just realized a couple years from now, the Super Bowl is actually going to come back to the Bay.
Yes, it is.
And the funny thing,
I touched on that a little bit actually before you hopped on. Actually, I was talking about how it was. I thought it was interesting that for years and years, there had never been a team to play at a Super Bowl that was played at their home stadium, and then the Buccaneers with Brady, they did it, and then the next year the Rams did it
with Stafford. Yeah, and I'm telling you, it's not impossible anymore. It's very doable now. It's very doable. This is the closest. No, we actually already achieved it now, but here's the thing. I remember that 2015 Super Bowl 50. I was mad as hell. I was kind of bitter because, it's cool we're hosting the big game, but we're the 49ers. And then I remember, I was like, oh, Jed. I never forgave him. I never forgave him.
Yes, it is going to be Super Bowl 60. The last Super Bowl was Super Bowl 50, which means that the next one will probably be Super Bowl 70.
The funny thing is, the 49ers might actually have a very good shot at hosting a Super Bowl. And they will be one of the teams playing in it. They have a very good shot of doing it.
Yeah, and then
it's very doable.
Yeah, and then don't forget next year. Next year they play in New Orleans, a place that they've lost the Super Bowl before.
Oh my God! I hope they go to New Orleans. They go back to New Orleans. New Orleans.
And they could be playing They could potentially play the Ravens in that too.
Oh my God! Chat, I have a question. Imagine if 49ers go back next year to the game, and we gotta go play Baltimore again in New Orleans like we did in 2012. Oh my God, everybody would be freaking out. Everybody be like, oh my God, we're literally going back in time. Basically, history's repeating itself. We got to undo the damage that Greg Roman did in 2012. Like, it would be absolutely like insanity if 49ers go back next year and play Baltimore in New Orleans like we did in like that season. I would just be going absolutely nuts because that is just, I don't think that has ever happened before where a team basically were two teams that met up like 10 years ago or so meet again at that very same location where they played the last time they played each other. Like, that would be absolutely insane. But yeah, I would like to see 49ers maybe do a three-peat in the NFC Championship game next year and then the year after that.
Yes, please.
But you know what my nightmare would be, though, Danny? And I'll be honest, I have a little concern. My worry, and this could still very be plausible, the 49ers could become this generation's Buffalo Bills of the 90s. That's
they would have to lose 3 Super Bowls in a row, though. So I mean, they haven't even been in 2 Super Bowls in a row, so you can't even get at that now.
But like the thing is, it's. I mean, like right now, we made the bowl like 3 times at least in my lifetime, and 2 under Shanahan. And the thing is, my concern is that people will start comparing us to Buffalo. I mean, we're already better than those 2000s Philadelphia Eagles, far better, because we actually didn't. We have a better record. Like, they went like 1-3. We went like 2-2 in the NFC Championship game. Like, that would be, we already outclassed Philadelphia in that regard. But yeah, it would be pretty awesome if we won it 3 years in a row. New Orleans, then back to the Bay. It'll be so old by then. That would be like 2020. 2025, 2026. Oh my God, I'd be so old.
Yeah, it's exactly a decade after the one that they hosted there.
Yeah.
Now I would assume that most of the the Super Bowl experience and all that would be held in San Francisco rather than in San Jose or Santa Clara.
They're definitely gonna do it in San Francisco. They have to.
Yeah. I feel like they might do so. Thing would be cool though is maybe they do some events in San Francisco. Maybe they do some other events in San Jose. So you have it be like a whole thing with the whole region.
Also, no, but they're definitely not going to do it in Oakland. I mean, Oakland's been
Well,
going through a
yeah,
rough
I know, but
time.
just yeah, right. But
Oakland's been going through a very rough time right now. Like, there's so much crime in that city. The governor had to actually call in the CHP to go in there and basically stabilize the whole city.
yeah, I heard that the In-N-Out shut down their first ever location there.
And Raising Cane's also bailed town too. Like, it's awful, man. Like, it's bad over here. Like, I would literally not recommend anyone to go there at this time. It's not safe. I'm just like, guys, just go to the city or go to at least San Jose or something. Just avoid Oakland, please. Avoid it. It's sad. But I feel like Las Vegas is a superior location for a Super Bowl when compared to your location last year, which is Phoenix. No offense, Danny, even though you live in Arizona. Because let's be honest, Arizona is boring when compared to Vegas.
Yeah.
I feel like Vegas is the perfect spot for a Super Bowl with all the gambling, the beautiful stadium, the beautiful city of Las Vegas, and then you have all this media attention like around. Like, I mean, Viva Las Vegas with all those circus shows going on there. I mean, where could you go wrong with Vegas? Honestly, it's
Yeah,
the perfect
I could see
location
them
for a
having
Super
one. Like
Bowl.
I said earlier, I could see them having it every 5 years or less in
In
Vegas.
Vegas?
It'll be like because they've done Super Bowls in Miami times within years close to each other. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they've done Super Bowls in Miami and then done another one like 5 years
I
later. Or
have a
something like
feeling
that.
the game will
Yeah.
be back in Miami. It's going to come back. It will.
Yeah.
Miami's perfect for a Super Bowl. The top cities on my list that are perfect for this game are Vegas, Miami, New Orleans, and LA. Those are my perfect locations for the Super Bowl. It's not even close for me. I mean, as much as I love the Bay, I mean, if we're talking about like overall convenience and talking about overall like the areas like surrounding everything or what's going on over there, just like the overall vibe. Overall, I would prefer those other 4 locations as the primary locations for the Super Bowl because it's obvious. Now, one thing for sure, we're definitely never going to see a Super Bowl in Green Bay. That's never going to happen. It'll be too cold up there.
Well,
But yeah,
there's been one in Detroit before.
yeah, there was. That's also a dome though, so it's doable.
No, or actually, it has the Pontiac one, the first one, the next one. Is that
Pontiac.
the one that they talk about, or was there actually another one in Detroit itself?
There were 2
Okay,
stadiums
yeah,
where
I
they
was
did
trying to
it.
figure yeah.
Pontiac, the Silver Dome, and Ford Field. Ford Field was where the Seattle-Pittsburgh game happened, and that game was filled with a lot of bad calls. And I have to say to the Seahawks fans, of course, who are our biggest rivals, I am absolutely so sorry you guys got screwed in that Super Bowl. That was absolutely just fucked up. Condolences for losing that one.
Oh, I did not care they lost, especially when they won it the year before. Like I was not.
Yeah, Super Bowls should never really be played outdoors unless like you're in, I mean, Tampa, Miami, Vegas, LA. Oh wait,
Oh,
no,
I'm sorry. Which Super Bowl were you just referring to with the Seahawks?
I mean, they're talking about
Or which one were you just referring to? With the Seahawks loss, the last one,
Super Bowl 40. Super Bowl 40.
Oh, the one against the Steelers. Oh, okay, yeah, it's my
That's
bad. I
cool.
thought you were talking about last one. Yeah, you know what's funny? That Super Bowl that was played, it was actually the year before I actually got into watching sports. So I remember that Super Bowl being on and waiting for it to be over so I can watch The Simpsons. And then the next year was the first one I actually I watched, but without like watching really the season before that. So the first Super Bowl I ever really watched was the Bears and the Colts, which was Super Bowl 41. But the first actual full season that I watched was the 2007 season. So and then the 2008 Super Bowl from that season was played.
Now speaking of NYC, because now this guy's bringing up the East Coast. I don't see a Super Bowl ever being done in New England, Foxborough. I mean, that's literally out in the middle of the nowhere. That's like the rural parts of New England there. That's where Foxborough is. It's never coming to Foxborough. Gillette Stadium is very nice, but they're never gonna do one there. New York, East Rutherford, New Jersey, I think it could come back. It could. It's not impossible. It could come back. But Arizona, I'm sure they'll come back again at some point.
Yeah, it's an okay place to have it. I mean, there's a lot of things to do in Scottsdale and Tempe. It's like
No to
somewhat of an
Buffalo.
underrated.
Buffalo, hell no. Minnesota, I wouldn't mind. I mean, that's a dome, so Buffalo is very doable. But you know what would actually make a very interesting location for a Super Bowl? I just realized just now. It would be absolutely total bonkers if it ever came to this city in that particular stadium. How about a Super Bowl in Seattle? In that stadium.
Yeah, I'm surprised there hasn't been one there, to be honest.
Lumen Field, or the CenturyLink Field, that is an awesome stadium.
Yeah.
How have they not hosted a Super Bowl yet? That is like the perfect location. I mean, like I'm just shocked they haven't hosted one there yet. It would make, I mean, can you imagine
Yeah,
that game, a game of that caliber with all that noise and all those decibels? Like, oh my God, it would be absolutely total insanity. If
Yeah, it
there
would
was a
be
Super Bowl
cool
in
to see
Seattle.
how if they still pumping crowd noise like they do when the Seahawks play there.
You know, I kind of wish, by the way, a lot of people don't like Levi's. I kind of wish we just copy pasted the design of the link, honestly, from Seattle. I don't know why we didn't do that.
Levi's in the location of where Candlestick would have been perfect for the weather-wise because it wouldn't have had to worry about
But
the
we're
heat.
talking about shade here. I think we should have just copy pasted CenturyLink Field, honestly, from Seattle.
It would be hard. It's hard to imagine them. I mean, you probably were also going to say they shouldn't have been in that location. It's hard to imagine them actually having it at that location, a field like Lumen Field being in the location of where Levi's is in Santa Clara.
I don't mind. No, I don't mind.
It's just hard to picture that for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe just because that was more of a big city stadium.
I don't really mind, honestly, Great America being the spot where you go to the football game. In fact,
Yeah,
the
I
public
don't
transportation
particularly
there
either,
is so much better than it was at Candlestick. The
yeah.
only problem is that it's so far away from SF itself, and the fact that the parking there is absolute crap. And it's just, yeah, it's been kind of a nightmare there in that regard. But I don't know, public transportation wise, I would rather try my bet on taking like Amtrak or Ace or even the VTA to the Niner game rather than trying to bust my way through a bad neighborhood in Candlestick or Hunters Point. But yeah, Great America. Yeah, that's what I call it, honestly. I don't call it Levi's most of the time. I call it Great America because that's literally what it is. In fact, I argue that's what they should have called that stadium. Great America. I will never call it Levi's.
I mean, that would have been good advertising. Well, I like Levi's because Levi's jeans is a San Francisco company, and George Kittle plugs them to tell you about how he.
I mean,
he
I get
grew up
it,
with
but
Levi's
still,
and all that. So I think that's a good name for it. Because everyone expected him to have it be something corporate, like Facebook Field or.
No, that would have been all. No, I'd rather have it Levi's over Facebook or Googleplex, honestly.
Right. Yeah, I'm like thankful they didn't do that.
Levi's is okay, but the perfect name for me would have been Great America. Great America Park, Great America Field or something. I don't know. Just something, because you know how Candlestick Park, it never really had any naming rights. It only had like 2 naming rights, 3Com Park and Monster Park. By the way, Monster is a shitty name. I thought it was like referring to like the energy drink, but it was actually some cable wiring company. I don't know.
Sports Talk in the chat. Actually, he says he works at California's Great America. Like,
Oh
wow, that's
God.
like that's cool. Actually, you know what's funny? So since I work for Hilton and I can stay at hotels with discounts, I would never get this rate during the football season when the Niners have a game the day of, or even the day before, because it's all sold out. But I was able to get a discounted rate for like $50 at the Hilton that's right next to Great America. And it was cool because I got a view of the stadium and Great America. And I actually tried, I was gonna go to Great America by myself because it was during the summer. And I was like, but then it was like $60 again, and I was like, nah, maybe I'm good. Like,
but still, I honestly think it's let's be honest here. For all its faults, I think the Great America is an okay stadium. I don't think it's bad. It's just the problem is if you go to the games during like summer, like late summer, like September and October, it is absolute misery. I would not recommend anyone to go during that time. But during November all the way up to January, like during the playoffs, that's when I think Great America is at its best. The weather is fine. I don't know, maybe it may not be as sunny or so. But let me tell you, that game against Green Bay when all the weather was bad, especially the Seattle game last year in the wild card matchup, I think that was when Great America resembled Candlestick the best. When it's overcast or if it's like rainy, sort of like bad field conditions or what, that's when I think that stadium is at its best, when it's literally cold and such. I literally
Yeah, that's for Nike. And actually, Rocky says Monster Park never felt right. It's funny when I first watched the Niners, that was what the stadium was called, was Monster Park. And
what kind of a
when I
name is
remember
that?
playing Madden, like the first Madden I played, which was Madden 07 or 08, it
Good
actually
games.
it would say like now live from Monster Park. And you know what's funny is it wasn't even based on the energy. Monster Park for another stadium would actually be a good name, but for naming it anything other than Candlestick is stupid. So
By the way, I also would prefer to call it Great America because of the location. Because you know how Candlestick was called Candlestick? It's what I'm doing for this stadium, Great America.
yeah, well, and it would be a great spot. And I guess Great America is supposed to close in the 2032 or something. Which first off,
that's so
like,
dumb.
why
That
is
so
it gonna?
stupid.
Yeah, that's
That is so
but like,
stupid.
why exactly? And how can they even plan a closing that year in advance? Oh, we're gonna keep this open for almost a decade, but we're eventually gonna close it. Like, I don't get. So
Candlestick
hopefully that gets
was
sorted out.
freezing for Giants games. For Niner games, it was cold too. No, but the thing is, I would argue that for Giants games, I don't think it was a good fit. But for Niners games, it was perfect. You see, cold weather, like really like rainy, muddy, snowy weather or so. You know what kind of weather that is? That is football weather. It's like a breezy, like cold, like anything at least that's breezy and cold, that's football weather. But if it's
Yeah,
like
that's why
overly
part of the
freezing,
reason why the Packers is such a historic team,
yeah.
because of
Football
Lambeau
to
Field
me,
in general.
football to me is meant to be played in the cold. It's never meant to be played in the warm, hot weather. It was never meant to be played in that kind of climate. It just doesn't work. And that's why, I don't know, that's why football players, they simply are more comfortable in the cold climate.
By the way, I agree that Pac Bell was the best name for the stadium currently known as Oracle Park.
I
I
call
do
it
like the
AT&T.
Oracle. Yeah, AT&T is something that I'll like always remember. But I do like the Oracle name because it's something that, because since the Warriors lost the Oracle sponsor and Oracle is a Bay Area company, I kind of like how the Giants kind of took that on.
I wish the Warriors just transferred over the naming rights to that new arena. Oracle Center. That sounds better than freaking Chase Center, in my opinion. Why not carry over the tradition? Like, tell Ellison, okay, can you transfer the naming rights of the arena in Oakland over to the arena in San Francisco, please? Why didn't they just transfer the naming rights over to the current arena in San Fran? They could have done that.
I don't know, but
That was
I
kind
mean,
of stupid.
maybe
But
they. Yeah, well, I
it is
think
what it is.
Well, the Giants already took the Oracle thing before. I think of Fish. And maybe they would have, and obviously you can't have it in two different.
Well, my generation, Gen Z, is always going to refer to the stadium as AT&T Park mainly because that was where it was during when they were called AT&T Park. That was during the dynasty in the 2010s. So I'm calling it always forever AT&T. I will never call it Oracle because Oracle is always going to be reserved for the Warriors. And yeah, I got to say, by the way, I want to also answer sort of something from chat earlier about the state of all the Bay Area teams. Yeah, definitely the Warriors and the 49ers are going to be the most watchable. The Giants, nope, I don't think so. You know, I'm honestly just going to wait.
I am excited about the Bob Melvin hire, but yes, I don't think it's going to be anything to look forward to this year.
No, look, Bob Melvin was a great hire, but the problem, though, is Farhan needs to go. I don't feel like he's trying, and I don't feel like that ownership is trying either. It just doesn't. And also, Chase is not even based in the Bay Area. That's a New York company. Why would you call it that?
Well, the D-backs stadium has been Chase Field for years.
Yeah, isn't that kind of... Remember when there were two NFL stadiums named Mercedes-Benz? The Saints Stadium and the Falcons Stadium. You had Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
I don't remember that.
You had Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans for the Saints, and then Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta for the Falcons.
Yeah, I knew about the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, but I didn't know that the Falcons had the Mercedes Dome naming rights as well.
I honestly would have called, as I said, I would have transferred just over the naming rights of Oracle Arena to San Francisco.
This was almost 30 minutes ago, but Rockin earlier said he'd love to meet Steve Young, Gore, Patrick Willis already met Rice.
I wouldn't mind any of them.
Right, I technically did meet Steve Young, I think, because my mom was pregnant with me when she ran into Steve Young. So does that count?
Mormon boy.
I don't know if that counts, but
Mormon boy. That's all I can say about Stevie Young. He's a Mormon boy, a left-handed Mormon boy. Like definitely promoting the gospel of the of the church or the Christian of Latter-day Saints or something. I don't know what the full name of the Mormon church is, but he's a Mormon boy from Utah. But yeah, Fraudhon. Yeah, I don't like that guy. He needs to be fired. Yeah, I'd rather watch. Here's the thing. Let's make a prediction, chat. Okay, what is going to be more relevant in 5 years from now? The Golden State Warriors or the San Francisco Giants? Like, who is more likely to be more watchable years from now? Because Warriors are in the process of already rebuilding. But
I mean, the Warriors could still have Curry in 5 years from now. So
no, but the thing is, they're already getting ready to move on from him. Like, he's nearing the end of his career.
yes, but since he is now arguably the best shooter in the game, I could see him playing another 5 years, and I don't see him wanting to play for any other team.
He might last as long as like maybe Michael Jordan or something.
I mean, yeah, or maybe at the very end of his career he would. Maybe he'd want to play for the Charlotte Hornets or something.
But yeah, definitely. Yeah, Chad is all saying the Warriors are going to be more watchable than the Giants.
Yeah,
that is sad. That is sad. Absolutely pathetic showing by the front office of the Giants. I just don't understand why they haven't been able to really do much, honestly. It's just they're letting the Dodgers getting all the big weapons. And now the Dodgers are going to be some super team. But, the funny thing is, I still think the Dodgers are still going to choke just because that's what they do.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. Yeah, Seth got traded to the Hornets. So he's playing for his hometown.
Okay, that's a good homecoming for him. What are you kidding me? Oh, my God. Look, at best, the Giants are going to be like a 500 record team, but Warriors, I would still trust the Warriors more than the Giants simply because the ownership at the Warriors cares more about winning than the Johnsons do. I feel like that ownership group is the problem for the Giants. If you thought the A's ownership was bad, the Warriors ownership Giants ownership is just as bad too, in their own way. But the A's ownership has been trying to move to Vegas for a while too. They've been getting embarrassed as of late.
Yeah, so I stayed at the Tropicana. Was one of the hotels that I actually stayed at. And yeah, that's where they're planning to build I guess they're already going to tear down the Tropicana regardless, which is kind of sad. It's a historic hotel that was built in 1957. And yeah, they're trying, the A's are trying to move to Vegas, of course, and have that be their stadium. But I heard
the Johnsons want to break. I want to.
Mayor basically said last week that the A's should stay in Oakland now, or should stay in the Bay Area.
Yeah, but now she had to retract her statement probably because I guess who's the commissioner of Major League Baseball? Who's a dickbag, by the way? I don't like
Rob
him.
Manfred.
Yeah, Manfred might have gotten mad at the mayor of Vegas, but if I were her, I wouldn't have apologized for making that statement because let's be honest, why the fuck would you want the A's in Vegas with an owner like that, like John Fisher, who doesn't care about winning? Like, I would ban him from the city. I wouldn't even consider anything. I would demand to Major League Baseball, just give us an expansion team. I don't care if it's American League or the National League. Just give us an expansion franchise. We don't want the A's here.
I feel like the only reason they wouldn't do that is because they couldn't. Then they would have to make an even number of teams.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that there's going to have to be 2 expansion teams. And in this case, you would have to put like another team in the in the National League. I don't know. Like maybe give Montreal a franchise again or something. Yeah, but the thing is, yeah, Giants are going to suck. But let me tell you, if the Johnsons really want to break even, they should sell the team already. And besides, aren't the Giants worth like billions of dollars or something now? They're like worth the same price as the Dodgers. Like, give it to Lake Up or somebody. Give it to someone who actually wants to win. Yeah, maybe Nashville would be a good location. I'll be honest, I'd like Nashville or even Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm surprised North Carolina doesn't have a team. That's a great state.
Yeah, Nashville. Yeah, it is. Carolina only has an NHL and NFL team.
Carolina has they have like 3 of the 4. They have 3 of the 4 major league teams. They have football, hockey, and basketball because Memphis Grizzlies, but they don't have.
Oh yeah, of course you got the Hornet. Yeah, the Charlotte Hornet. Yeah, so that's 3. Yeah, 3 teams. Yeah.
No, yeah, Carolina because they have like the Panthers. No, that's the Hurricanes. Never mind. Houston Expos. Why would that'd be the Houston Astros? You mean? Well, you know what I'm gonna look more forward to than watching the Giants this year. There's 2 things I'm definitely gonna be more excited about, and I know it's ridiculous, but I'll just say it now. I'd rather watch freaking March Madness, college basketball, and watching the just recently merged up UFL, the Spring Football League, than watching the Giants this spring.
Yeah.
It's just that's how low confidence I have in the Giants at this time. And I'm very hopeful for the UFL, and I want people to support it. I want more football, especially in spring. And it looks like they're timing the start of that league too very well, unlike last year, where they had it around the same time as the end of football season.
Yeah,
and
I've never
around
really gotten into any of those
spring
summer
leagues.
football league or spring or
The
summer football
problem
league.
is, the problem is that they didn't have it enough on the national networks, and the fact that they also didn't have also I don't know. I felt like their stadiums were crappy, and also the fact that I don't know. It was the timing of how they started these leagues. Like they shouldn't have started them so early or so late. And it appears that they're gonna undo that damage by starting them on March 30th, late March, which will be
So
the near
the
end
only
mark
one
for
I
them.
ever really kind of got into a little bit was the Arena Football League, like when I was like
Yeah, a lot of
11
people used
years
to watch
ago.
that. People used to watch that. It did actually quite well. Um, but yeah, but honestly, I feel like the UFL has a chance to succeed this time. But honestly, my question for The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, is why the fuck don't you have a team on the West Coast? They got rid of the only team on the West Coast, and that was the Seattle Sea Dragons. I'm a Dragon, by the way. You're the Dragon, by the way. That would have been my team, that would have been Seattle. But also, why is there no California team? At least give us one California team. I wouldn't have minded maybe a team maybe in Sacramento or something like that, or even a team playing at Stanford or UC Berkeley. I wouldn't mind a UFL team there. It would be great because and maybe name them the California something. Maybe like California Bears or California Grizzly Bears or something. I don't know. Like something that's going to definitely unite the whole state. One that will not polarize SF and LA people. Because if they're going to do only one team in California, like the entire state, they got to go with something that will unite everybody. From San Francisco to SAC to LA to San Diego, they got to unite the whole entire state. But it's going to be difficult. And I think it's more likely they'll try to get two teams there, but still, we'll just have to wait and see.
So going back into tomorrow's matchup a little bit, here's an interesting thing I saw. Actually, the NFL memes account posted it. They were showing the teams that have won in February, and at first, when it mentioned the Niners hadn't won in February, it took me a minute. I was like, "What?" Of course they. But then, so every Super Bowl that the 49ers have won has been played in January. So they have yet to win a Super Bowl in February. They have yet to win a game
that's right.
in February.
The last Super Bowl they won, it was still in January because this was before 9/11. After 9/11, they expanded the season. They forced everything into February.
Yeah, so from what I read is because I was too young to really follow any kind of sports at this time. So apparently after 9/11, the Super Bowl was in February. Then the following year, they had to go back to January, but then the year after that, they decided to have it in February permanently.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm okay with it. And I also saw the Pro Bowl games, by the way. I feel like they finally now fixed it. It's now exactly what people wanted it to be.
Yeah, with flag football.
Olympics. It's like a mini Olympic games for the NFL players. And you know what? I feel like the way it is now, it's so much better now than to watch it in the old Pro Bowl because the Pro Bowl itself was boring as fuck. Like no one cared about it. But now you're giving the players a reason to have fun. And that's what the Pro Bowl should be. It should be to have fun, sort of like for the NFL players and the community getting together. It should be a time of like sharing your love for football with your favorite players. That's what the Pro Bowl should be.
Yeah, it should be like the
get-together.
dunk contest. How there's a lot of fun built into that, and even the MLB
It
All-Star game
reminds
has
me
certain fun elements to it as well. So
it reminds me of what I used to do in elementary school called Field Day, where all the kids would come out and have fun and do a group, like, I don't know, a certain number of activities that, I don't know, we would all be doing. I mean, that's what the Pro Bowl games reminds me of, and I like it. And I hope they keep the format because it actually works. It's fun to watch. And I don't know, the players themselves look like they're having fun too. So I hope they keep the Pro Bowl games and not go back to the old Pro Bowl because that shit was bad. No Pro Bowl was good. None of them. All awful. But yeah, getting back to the Super Bowl itself, as I said, you got to listen to what Harbaugh said. Don't pass it too much. Run the ball. Keep Mahomes off the field as long as possible, because you got to think of him as if he were Aaron Rodgers. That was how 49ers were able to beat Green Bay so many times. Keep Rodgers off the field for as long as possible and run it. And score, of course.
Now, I've heard people say that they think that if Kyle Shanahan wins the coin toss, he should receive instead of defer. And if Andy Reid wins the coin toss and defers, that the Niners should be happy with that decision because they should want to have the ball first to get.
I feel like the 49ers should defer. First, they've always deferred.
I don't know. I think it might, because coming back from behind, regardless of if you're coming back from being down 21-7 or being down 7-0 against Mahomes and the Chiefs offense with Isaiah Pacheco and Travis Kelce and all them, you want to start to come off the first drive with a lead.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, it really doesn't matter, especially it was the case in Super Bowl 54 too. I mean, the first drive doesn't matter. What matters is what happens the whole game. And in this case, the Niners, in my opinion, if I were them, I would defer to start off the football game if they won the coin toss. I don't know. It just always seems to work in our favor historically.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what most teams always do for the most part anyway. But
like if you for example, if you're like up like 17-7 at halftime and you get the ball back and you score a touchdown, you're then up 24-7, and then it'll be a harder road for them to come back. It's just, you got to, whenever you get the ball back, you got to take advantage of it whenever you can. And that's what the 49ers simply got to do tomorrow. They cannot allow Kansas City to get like anywhere confident like they did years ago. They just can't. They just can't. Don't give Mahomes a reason to think he's winning this thing. You just can't.
And they're playing the weakest Chiefs team
in years
that's made the Super Bowl. Yeah.
This is the weakest Chiefs team probably since maybe the 2017 team when they still had Alex Smith. It's ridiculous. And yet they still made it this far. It's amazing. It's amazing. You got to give them credit for it. Their defense is just that good. But I'm telling you, after the season, Kansas City is definitely going to fix the problems at receiving. They will. And it may no longer be possible to beat them after that. I'm just saying, it won't get any easier after this one. This is literally the 49ers' best shot at winning one while Mahomes is doing his thing. Because we all know he's already an all-time great, and he's definitely going to be a Hall of Famer after he's said and done.
Yeah, the fact that he's only 28 years old is insane too.
And Purdy's only
29.
Purdy's only 24.
Yeah. And obviously Purdy's the first Mr. Irrelevant, last pick in the draft to play in a Super Bowl. Or I'm sorry, no, that's actually not true. Actually, he's obviously the first quarter, because there has been Mr. Irrelevance that have played in Super Bowls before. That's not right. But he's of course the first quarterback or high position player that was drafted last to play in a Super Bowl.
Let me see if there's ever been another, let's see, another Mr. Irrelevant to play in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, there has. I remember they mentioned a stat about that, but it wasn't any.
Oh, Ryan Suckup, the kicker for Tampa Bay. He definitely played in Super Bowl 55 against Kansas City.
Yeah. Yeah,
and he won it. He got his ring with Tom Brady. So Purdy's not the first. He's like the first quarterback, like Mr. Irrelevant. Kurt Warner was like the first ever, maybe undrafted, I think, to get that far and to win it. I mean, yeah, either way, Brock's making history, no matter what.
Yeah, and there's a lot of similarities between him and Kurt Warner.
And Tom.
As well. Oh, and yeah, Tom was also a 7th round pick.
6th.
Oh, he was 6th. My bad, yeah. 6th round pick.
I mean, low draft pick, low expectations. I mean, I don't know. When expectations are not too high on you, I feel like you're a little more comfortable compared to when there's high expectations on you, because there's more pressure on you. But when nobody gives a crap about you, it allows you to do your own thing without the media circus.
Right.
But
now,
yeah,
I expect obviously them to run CMC a lot, and I could see him and actually, I think the way the Niners offense works, the Niners need to have 2 CMT touchdowns if they want to win this game. Just the way the offense works.
Make it 3, make it 4, make it as many as you can to keep
Yeah,
Mahomes from
like,
winning.
have a Mostert type game. And the Chiefs have a good secondary with Ladarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie. So, yeah, Purdy obviously needs to continue doing what he does best, making the smart decisions in the pocket, finding an open Kittle, open Ayuk, open Debo. And I could see them using Debo as a running back in this game as well. I could see some Debo getting some
I
carries.
wouldn't be shocked if Brock doesn't pass that much. Imagine if he has like only 100 plus yards. He doesn't even get to 200, like sort of like what Mahomes did last year. He only got to 182, but he still got 3 TD passes and no picks, which is amazing. And they still awarded him MVP.
Well, here's another thing against Detroit. When in the NFC Championship game, we saw Purdy use his legs.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be shocked if we see that again.
Chiefs don't have a good running defense, so
if Kyle
it's
tries
not
to
impossible.
make Purdy look like Mahomes. Not that he
no,
would, but I feel like that's in Kyle's mind right now. Is like, let me make Purdy the next Mahomes. Let me make him rush like Lamar Jackson or Mahomes or Josh Allen.
Well, don't make him look like Kaepernick. Don't.
Right.
I don't want to go back to that time.
Make him look like 2012 Kaepernick, maybe, but
no, make him look like prime Aaron Rodgers. That's what I want to see. Someone that can scramble, but someone that can throw accurately. And I'm just saying, if 49ers win the ball, I'm going to Market Street for the parade. And I got my Brock Purdy jersey, by the way. It came in a couple days ago.
Did you get a red or white one?
Red. It's red. It's home.
Yeah, that's the same one that I have as well.
My dad didn't think it was coming, but he got it for my birthday. And I'm like, yes!
Well,
Score!
I was supposed to get it. Actually, I was supposed to get it for Christmas last year. It didn't come until after, and my birthday's in January also. It didn't come until after my birthday because of how high demand it was last year.
I mean, here's the thing. I think after the NFC Championship game, I bet the demand just broke through the roof. Like they couldn't keep up with the demand. And I think if they were to win the Super Bowl, it's only going to get a triple times worse. They will not be able to meet the demand for Purdy if he wins another one, or if he wins a game like the Super Bowl, for sure. It's going to be like the PS5 shortage of 2020, 2021. Like, there won't be enough to go around. There's more demand than there is supply. Yeah.
Rocket, what jerseys did you order? Oh, okay. Extended players. I got you. Yeah, which former players did you order? By the way, so when I met Vernon Davis, actually, I told him that him and Kittle were the best tight ends, the best Niner tight ends, the best 85s, of course. And we even talked about how he's met Kittle, of course. He thinks he's a stand-up guy. Well, and also I talked about his book that he had coming out that I heard him talk about in an interview before the Packers game when he was on the Tolbert and Cope show on KMBR. And he has a book that's forwarded by Mike Singletary, of course. It is really interesting how Mike Singletary, of course, changed his whole career with what happened in the 2008 game when Singletary was just the interim head coach. And Vernon Davis said himself that basically changed his career. And there's a lot of former 49ers swag going on, of course, with Patrick Willis being inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Says white burgundy Ken Norton Jr. and a burgundy Bryant Young. Gotcha. Yes, Bryant Young's in the Hall of Fame, right? Is he? By the way, since we were talking, and of course I didn't want to talk too much about the Taylor Swift bullshit and all that. But there was a funny video on Instagram and Bandwagon. I even said it to you of where Taylor talked about how she was born on the 13th. She turned 13 on the 13th and blah, blah, blah. And that was her favorite number. Well, what number is Brock Purdy? Number 13. No, it's interesting. I wonder if Brock Purdy grew up being a big fan of Steve Nash because, of course, when I moving from the Bay Area when I was young, Steve Nash was the most popular athlete around Phoenix. You would see his jersey everywhere. So I wonder if that may have inspired him to wear number 13 growing up in this area. Yeah, some other cool things I did in Vegas is I went to the Super Bowl experience, the NFL experience. Now, when the Super Bowl was here in Phoenix last year, I went to that also, and it's actually the fourth Super Bowl experience I went to because I went to the one in 2008 that I went to was the coolest because it was held actually instead of rather than the last couple years, the last couple times it's been here having it at the Phoenix Convention Center, they actually had it right at the Cardinals Stadium. And there was a cool thing I did where I got to do the virtual reality thing, just like. By the way, Bandwagoner 2011 says he's got to get going, got to prepare for.
Yeah, I gotta get going, everybody. So, I gotta deal with the birthday party tomorrow. Got a lot of guests. Got to set up decorations and get the food out.
Okay, yeah, there you go. You got a late birthday and Super Bowl party. There you go. Hell yeah.
It's awesome. It's fucking awesome. I always do it every year. But to everybody in the chat, I thank you all for listening to what I have to say about everything. All I could say is bang bang Niner game, Viva Las Vegas. Let's get
bang bang
Lombardi number 6, I hope. And I also hope to God that we will meet each other on Market Street next week or so.
Yes.
So take care, guys, and go Niners.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining the stream. By the way, I wish I could. Well, okay, we got to win it first. If we do win it, damn, I would love to go to that parade. That's probably going to be the most epic parade in Bay Area sports since the Giants 2010 one. Absolutely. So Rockin', you went to the Super Bowl experience in SF. So was that where was that held? By the way, was that held by? I assume it was downtown. Was it? Like, did they have it at the ferry boat? Like, where do they have that? But yeah, there was more to do at this in Vegas than there was last year. Even though it was very similar because it was held at a convention center and there was at the Moscone Center, right? Of course. Yes, I've actually walked by the Moscone Center when I've stayed at hotels around there. That area is, despite you know, it might not be the cleanest, but it's still a pretty nice area. And it sucks that San Francisco's gotten a bad rep as being a really bad city because it's still an incredible city. Like, it's one of the best cities in the whole country. But there is a problem that definitely needs to be solved. But you're gonna get that kind of a problem in every big city that you see. Yeah, there was a cool little thing where I got to go into a Snickers commercial and give a preview of the game, which I did with my friend that's actually on my channel as well. Good evening to Ernie Chavez. Good old the 95.7 Doobie Award winner. Welcome to the chat. Yes, indeed. And we got 9 people watching. Hit that like if you can. Subscribe, of course. I got one viewer on, it shows on my screen as X, but we'll always call it Twitter. And got a viewer on Twitch as well. Man, the jitters are going. Rocket, I think you asked earlier if we all have anxiety about Jake Moody kicking tomorrow. Yes. When Jake Moody missed that field goal during the Lions game, that was with the rest of the first half was bad. Um, ugh. And Jake Moody, of course, he missed the one in Cleveland. It would have won in Cleveland if he had made that one. And the fact that they like traded up to get him last year too, he cannot miss the game-winning Super Bowl field goal. That would just be awful in so many ways if that were to somehow happen. But overall, he's had a decent year. It sucks that the Niners don't have Robbie Gould just because of how accurate he was and how he was basically good as gold, hardly ever missed at all. That's definitely what you want. You definitely want a kicker that you can rely on anytime, especially going into a Super Bowl. But Jake Moody is like, I just hope that we're not in a situation where we end up having to have Jake Moody win the game for us. Now, what my prediction I'm going to give kind of goes against that in the sense because I'm going to predict the Niners to get the win 27-24. And that could end up meaning that Jake Moody does end up having to kick a game-winning field goal. And I hope that we're able to beat the Chiefs by a larger margin for it to be less nerve-wracking. But you're going up against Patrick Mahomes, despite the fact that the Chiefs haven't had the best regular season this year. As soon as the playoffs started, they turned on the Jets, and they looked like this. They look like the same dominant Chiefs that we've seen since Mahomes arrived in Kansas City. So you cannot bet against Mahomes to at least not be in the game at the end. That's all I'm going to say. So I think the Niners should receive first and try to score first if they win the coin toss. And I think if the Chiefs win it and defer, the Niners should be happy about that. But if they don't score that first drive, then you'll wish that they just deferred it. But yes, they really need to score on that first drive. You really need to see McCaffrey score. I mean, that's what I'm imagining the first score to be because that's what it usually is. I'm expecting the Niners to have the ball first, whether they win the coin toss or lose it. I expect them to have the ball first. And I expect an opening drive touchdown from Christian McCaffrey. Now, I expect Purdy to throw a lot in the game. But I expect Kyle to overall rely on the run game, like I said earlier, even with Debo itself too. And maybe with Elijah Mitchell or Juszczyk. Now, I heard Tom Rathman interviewed on the Morning Roast. I heard him mention, and it's also cool. I listened to some of the old Super Bowls when they replayed them on KMBR. Tom Rathman was a big part of a lot of them. He was a fullback, of course. He was saying that he thinks that Kyle Juszczyk should get some touches because he's a damn good fullback. He's a damn good blocking fullback, but he can also score when he needs to. He had a touchdown in the last Super Bowl against the Chiefs. I don't want to remember anything from that, but and Elijah Mitchell, of course, got the go-ahead touchdown against the Lions. We've been calling for Elijah Mitchell for so long, and we finally got to see him come in to score, which I thought was cool. But obviously, you're going to give most of the touches to McCaffrey. And since this is a Super Bowl in the last game, regardless, you don't have to worry about overusing him more than you would in the regular season or in the postseason. But yeah, you definitely got to give him a lot of touches, of course. Rocket asks who I say wins MVP. Ooh. See, that's going to determine what ends up making the difference in the game. If any touchdown pass from Purdy ends up being the difference maker, whether if it's the full game winning touchdown or just a touchdown towards the end of the game that looks like it seals the deal. And I would say it would depend on the stats. Like if Purdy throws for 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and just balls out for most of the game, then he's probably going to get the MVP. But if it ends up being a Christian McCaffrey show, then he'll probably get the MVP. Now, I really don't see anyone else get the MVP, but maybe George Kittle will show the world that he's the tight end that should be talked about more than the guy that's dating Taylor Swift. And maybe he'll have 2 touchdowns and he'll get the MVP. That's possible, but I say it would be either Purdy or CMC. And I'm kind of relying on it being more McCaffrey because McCaffrey is capable of getting 3 or 4 touchdowns. Now, against this Chiefs defense, might be a little bit hard to get more than 2, but I could see him being the difference maker, and the difference maker will get the MVP. So look at some of the other things in the chat. Now, when you guys talking about the Pro Bowl earlier, Otis was saying that the Pro Bowl is not as good. They made a big mistake moving it to the week before the Super Bowl and moving it out of Hawaii. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Well, I agree mainly with the Hawaii part because I thought that was really cool to have it in Hawaii, and that must be great for all the Hawaiians that love football because they get to have a game there. They got to have a game there at that point. Like they're having all these NFL games in Europe, and I think they're having one in Brazil next year. Let's have one in Hawaii. Like, fuck, how come they've never had a? Or correct me if I'm wrong, but has there ever been an actual regular season game in Hawaii? Hawaii is like one of the most beautiful places to visit, one of the most desirable places, and it's still in our country, and you're traveling far. So, I mean, I'm all for having the games in Europe. I'm all for expanding the international brand, but how come they haven't had a game in Hawaii? Seems surprising. And yeah, gold in the playoffs it was just automatic. It's funny. I was thinking about David Akers, how he had such a good year in 2011, and then 2012, week 1 he hits that 63-yard field goal, and then he sucks for most of the year for the most part, even though he's an all-time great kicker in general in the league's history. So it is interesting. I really hope that this game, win or lose, does not come determined by a Jake Moody field goal because, I just hope. I really hope. But who knows? Defensive side of the ball, Fred Warner can show the world who he is if he has a monster game in the Super Bowl. I mean, I think that was good particles, as Paulie Mack would say, with Patrick Willis being inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That would be a good opportunity for Fred Warner to have a big game on the big stage. Eric Armstead, of course, got the fumble recovery. Eric Armstead was a huge part of that 2019 team. That would, of course, the fumble recovery I'm talking about was in the Lions game a couple weeks ago. And which I thought, like I've said on my streams after that, I thought that was the ultimate difference then. I thought that's when I definitely thought the Niners were going to actually fully come back and fully completely come back and get the win. It was at that moment. It was a Jahmyr Gibbs fumble that Armstead recovered. That's when I thought that the Niners were going to advance to the Super Bowl. I'm probably going to get off in a few minutes, but before I do, let me recap some of the other cool things about the Las Vegas trip. Now, Here's Fremont Street in Vegas. It had Purdy and it showed a lot of Mahomes as well. It would go back and forth with that, which a lot of things did. The stadium, yeah, this is what I was kind of trying to actually have. I don't know, better video. So just not like just how the spear projects different images. Allegiant Stadium itself was projecting different images. So that Super Bowl look, and when I said I feel like I saw more Mahomes, I feel like they projected Mahomes, and I did not see them project Purdy on the Allegiant Stadium itself, although they did on the Spear and on the Fremont Street and everything. And this is what the Spear looked like when they projected some images from it. And I got to go to a show at the Spear, which was really fucking cool. It was one of those moments where you actually felt like you were going down when it would actually go down to the Grand Canyon. It actually felt like you were dipping down into the Grand Canyon. And showing it off my phone onto this webcam isn't going to make it look like shit, but like it was cool. It's really cool from the outside. From the inside, it's amazing. Like I think so. They had the opening night at Allegiant Stadium. It would have been cool if they had done something with the Spear. I think, and I'm still a little bit salty that I missed out on opening night because was not even aware that was a thing. Has that been a thing? Because I know they have media day, but has that been a thing for? Because I don't remember them doing anything like that for the Super Bowl that was in Arizona last year. I don't remember them ever having an actual opening night where they actually have fans go into the stadium for that. For like tickets were like $30. Like, wow, I did not. Yeah, that was complete news to me. I did not know that. Man, so where I'm at, it is officially 12:10, which means that it is already February 11th. So it is already game day in my time zone. For most of you guys watching, you're still February 10th, but for me, it is now February 11th. Ugh, so the jitters are getting real. The jitters are getting real. But I'm just really looking forward to tomorrow, of course. On some days, I do work on Sundays, but I had to, of course, ask for tomorrow off. So I'm going to be chill. I'm going to be off tomorrow and Monday. So I'm going to be able to win or lose, either wake up on Monday extremely happy after a win or be bitter after a loss. I'm just going to be able to take some time to kind of reflect on it all. So truly, truly looking forward to it. Yes, Viva Brock Vegas indeed. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now it's cool. They show the Super Bowl tickets. So that's that ticket at the top is the last Super Bowl. And the one that I showed was the 96 one. And so the 94-95 one was the last one that I was on. That was the actual ticket for that. And yeah, it was really cool listening to KBR replay the Super Bowls. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, I listened to the first one, Super Bowl 16, a lot. It's honestly really cool listening to anything from the 80s and before my time and like how it sounded compared to now. Lon Simmons is just amazing. Just amazing. Like now it was interesting because at the end of that Super Bowl, before the game was won, he was already talking about there being a parade, which I assume meant win or lose. They would have had a parade because they would have had a parade for the NFC champion 49ers because that was their first Super Bowl appearance at that point. But he was telling everyone, do not hang out by SFO to watch the 49ers land because they're going to be landing at a different spot a different runway where there's not going to have anyone have access to it or something. I thought that was interesting that they were already planning. They were going to have a parade regardless, win or lose, which it's funny. I actually remember the Cardinals doing that when they lost to the Steelers, I remember they still had a parade because Super Bowls aren't anything. Championships in Arizona sports aren't that common, so they have to do everything regardless. Although I will say I don't think they did any kind of parade for the Suns or D-backs when they lost their respective championships. Yeah, no, definitely. And I believe they're actually going to I might get up early to actually hear them replay Super Bowl 29 tomorrow because I believe that's when they're gonna replay it. And the last one that I actually listened to before I got now, I'm not sure what I forget which number it was, but it was the last one that they won with Joe, and it was they had the game winning catch from John Taylor in that game, Joe Montana to John Taylor. That was cool. It was also cool how it was also funny how hearing on both the first Super Bowl against the Bengals and the last one how I'm talking about Chris Collinsworth. Actually, for the first one, Lon Simmons talked about how Chris Collinsworth was just recently been drafted that year, which is like, wow. Like, jeez. I also heard a little bit of the one that was played at Stanford Stadium, which was the 84 one played in the beginning of January of 85. Now, that was actually the first Super Bowl that was ever played anywhere near the home of one of the teams that was in it, because obviously it being at Stanford Stadium and the Niners being the local team, that was really cool. And so yeah, Super Bowl 23 would have been. Thank you, SG, appreciate that. Yeah, Super Bowl 23 would have been the last one that was played. The last one the Niners had won before the last one, the 94-95 one. Yes, thank you. No, it's funny actually. My mom went to the only game, the 49er game that my mom ever attended while she lived in the Bay Area actually was a Niners-Patriots game that was played at Stanford Stadium in 1989 because after the Loma Prieta earthquake, the Niners weren't able to play at Candlestick for a while. Well, Ernie, not only did they play that Super Bowl at Stanford Stadium, being a college stadium, the Cardinals used to play at ASU Stadium. They used to play at Sun Devil Stadium. So the first time that Arizona ever had a Super Bowl, it was also played at a college stadium. But Stanford seems like a good college stadium, and ASU Stadium is a good stadium as well. And he talked about the heat at Levi's. I heard that the heat at Sun Devil Stadium was rough, to say the least. Yeah, actually, that was crazy. When I had a blog talk radio show, it was really cool hearing the full call in real time. His call, Lon Simmons' call was back to throw Montana, steps up, throws, and then immediately touchdown. Because it was a 10-yard pass. That was actually at the beginning of my intro when I had a blog talk radio show back in the day. That was the beginning of my intro. Otis might remember that. And yes, I'm definitely wearing the Kittle jersey tomorrow as well. I've been rocking the Purdy jersey a lot, but with them wearing white jerseys tomorrow, with them being the road team, definitely got to rock the white tomorrow. And that's funny. Actually, you know what I actually thought? Because I didn't realize that it alternated every year, where one year is NFC, one year it's AFC is the home team. I was really confused when the Rams were the road team when they hosted the Super Bowl, because I kind of just thought that it was whatever team, like when the Niners were playing the Chiefs the Super Bowl in Miami. I thought that the reason why they were the road team was because it was an AFC stadium, with it being the Dolphins stadium. That's what I actually thought, because I didn't even really think about road or home for Super Bowls. And I think that would actually make sense. That'd be kind of be a cool way to do it, where you just have the home team be the team that's the same conference of the stadium that they're playing in. Yeah, I heard that the Rams were at least able to use their own locker room, which made sense. Thanks, Ashley. Yeah, it's a good jersey. I actually got it. I actually ordered it from someone here on YouTube that's a big Cowboys fan that makes a lot of jerseys. His name's Mike Mosh. Shout out to him. And Otis, thank you for remembering the Blog Talk Radio show from 2011, 2012. Yeah, those were the days. Those were the days. Okay, but was Tampa? Oh yeah, so Tampa was the road team. Oh yeah, I guess they would have been. Yeah, if it all. Or no, they would have been the home team because yeah, if the Rams the next year were the road team, then yes, Tampa would have been the home team. Yeah, so they wouldn't. They may have worn white, but they would have been home whites if that were the case. And yeah, Vegas, the Super Bowl being in Vegas, and this is the case even without Super Bowl being played, but you see a lot of celebrities and athletes and just people in general that you can recognize and actually have a conversation with. You saw a lot though for Super Bowl week. Like of course, I met Vernon Davis, I met Scott Farrell. Actually, my friend talked to after we met Vernon Davis. My friend actually talked to Damon Amengalera, which is funny because Damon Bruce did a video with Damon Amengalera the next day. And I've only familiar with Damon Amengalera because of the CBS Sports Minutes, because I've never actually heard, so I wouldn't have even recognized him. But okay, so the Buccaneers were the home team. They just chose to wear their white jerseys. They were, yeah, and seriously, I know that there was a thing of where the Niners, I think, wanted to wear the 94 throwback whites the last time they were in the Super Bowl, but the NFL didn't allow them. The idea is cool. I feel like for Super Bowls, you probably should just wear your current jerseys, and that should be more of a regular season thing. Should be wearing the throwback jerseys. SG, I did hear that. I heard something about that. I think I heard Jim Rome talking about that. Who my friend actually also got a chance to meet Jim Rome during. And I did hear that though. Yeah, that's crazy. I think that was the next day after I attended the Spears show. Wow. Yeah, like I would be scared. I would be more scared to climb the Spear than I would be climbing any other buildings, because since it rotates, I would assume that I would just be thrown right off of it easily. Yeah, I wonder how much this, because I know Vegas in general made like 3.4 billion or 1.4 billion dollars off the Super Bowl. So I wonder how much the Spear costed to build, because I know Allegiant Stadium was, I think, in the billions. Yeah. Well, of course, I bet they already fixed that. I wonder how he caused that much in damages though, and more how was he able to keep his balance climbing that? I mean, it would be easier to climb a regular building than it would be climbing something round that just is gonna keep rotating. Yeah, how real does this meteor shot look like? Well, not so much showing it to the webcam, but being there, this shit just looks so real. I think because there's a lot of people in Vegas that are trying to attend viewing parties. What they should do is they should have, and this should be every year, regardless of if the Super Bowl's in Vegas or not, they should have a viewing party of the Super Bowl at the Spear where you can watch it you can watch it like that. I think that would be cool. I believe aren't they also doing something with the SpongeBob halftime show? Like the classic SpongeBob clip. I think I heard they were they were gonna show that at half. Well, because the Super Bowl is also gonna be played on Nickelodeon as well as the regular CBS broadcast. I'm definitely not gonna watch it live on Nickelodeon. I might record because I did enjoy watching the NFL broadcast before on Nickelodeon. The first year that they did that, actually, it was the Bears. for- Forget were they? They may have been playing the Chiefs actually. I think the Bears. I remember it was the Bears playing in the first playoff game that they had that, and I watched that feed on Nickelodeon. But I was when the Niners played the Cowboys the next year, I wasn't gonna watch that live on Nickelodeon, but I did record that broadcast. Um, but I think they're gonna do something with SpongeBob on that with the from the classic SpongeBob band episode, or where they all perform, and it's similar to a big halftime show during a Super Bowl. I think they're gonna do something fun with that. I forget what it was exactly, but oh, okay, SG. You know, it's funny you mentioned that. I remember there was a thing. I think it was either just this last year, maybe in 2022 or something, where there was a guy that tried to climb the Salesforce Tower in San Francisco, and he was also a pro-life activist. So I wonder if it's the same guy that did that. Actually, that's funny. Yeah, he's gonna be charged with 100,000 worth of damage. He's probably gonna be charged a lot of other stuff too, like trespassing is one, and possibly endangering the public, maybe because if he falls off that could definitely affect someone on the ground, and yeah, I don't want to know the legal fees that guy has to deal with. Now, another thing I actually forgot to touch on was there was condition issues with the 49ers practice field at UNLV, which after I picked my friend up from the airport because I drove there, we drove by UNLV actually right when they were talking about that. And yeah, of course the Chiefs got to play in a the Raiders practice facility while the Niners had to practice at UNLV. And it was raining the first few days that I was in Vegas. Monday, Tuesday, yeah, it stopped on. It was raining the most on Tuesday. It was a little bit. It kind of went on and off on Monday, and it was also all clear on Wednesday and Thursday when I left because I left on Thursday night. It was all clear after that, but Rocket, I did not make any Super Bowl bets while I was in Vegas, but I did make a bet before the season even started on DraftKings. And the last few years I've done this every year actually with all I've even done it with the Giants and the Warriors as well. I place like a I'll place like a 10 to 20 to $30 bet. And this year I actually placed a $30 bet on the Niners winning the Super Bowl. And the payout is in the 300. I'm actually gonna before I shut down the stream, I'm gonna open up the DraftKings app and see what bet I placed exactly. Because I want to see what the payout is gonna be. Let's see. But I didn't even do that much gambling in general in Vegas. I put down like $100 in one slot machine and ended up losing all that, and then I placed like another $80, I think, and lost most of that, or maybe it was a little bit less than that. But I didn't really gamble a whole lot because obviously, if you do it in Vegas, your odds are even lower than if I just did it at the Talking Stick Casino here in Scottsdale. If I just did it, like I've had better luck there for the most part. And there was actually a cool machine, and I've seen this at Talking Stick as well, where you can pick any NFL team, and they actually did it better at Talking Stick because they actually had a high like I would be able to watch 49ers highlights while I played the slot machine. So it wasn't as the Vegas one actually wasn't as cool because it just showed like one image of the team and that was it. But I tried doing that one with having the Niners be my team, of course, and yeah, I did not. I lost all the money I put in that slot machine. I was actually only $40 I put in there, but I lost all that. So not a whole lot of luck with me on Vegas. I don't know how to play blackjack or anything. I know I can get more luck with that. So let me just open up, do all the verification stuff I do for this app. Ooh. Okay. Huh. Apparently, I have $295 that I'm available to cash out right now. Did I place a bet on the NFC Championship as well? Wow. Damn, that's a lot. And Moroccan wants to know, did Chris Jones pay for a lap dance for you at the strip club? You know, I should have asked. I did not even see him there. Like the bouncer told me he was there. I did not see him there. Maybe he just left then, but yeah, I could have maybe he wouldn't have wanted to because if I was wearing my Niners stuff, maybe he wouldn't have wanted to ask me. But and yeah, Ernie, you're tuning in now. Yeah, earlier I told everyone how I went to the Sapphire Strip Club. My friend actually paid. He actually paid a little bit for me to get in, and I had to pay for my own lap dance, of course. But and we actually got a free limo ride there from the company, which was really cool. And when I go in, the bouncer is like, "Oh, we got a Niner fan here. Oh, bad news. We got a Kansas City Chief in the house. Chase Young is in the house." And we're like, "What the fuck?" And then, so I pay for this lap dance where I get it with both these chicks at the same time. They charged me a little too much for it, but that's right the point. Yeah, they had me pay 50 like they split it between them. It's 100 and it's 50 each between them, which that is a ripoff. But trust me, there's people that would want to spend even more on that. And they end up telling me that they gave Chase Young a lap. They're like, "Oh, what are the Niners? One of their defensive tackles, Chase Young. We gave him a lap dance the other day." I'm like, I think they were like, "Oh, his name's Chase. He plays on defense or something." I'm like, dang. And like Otis said earlier, hopefully the lap dance put him in a good mood for this week. Yes. Yes, indeed. Let me look at the bets that I actually placed because I want to see like. Okay, so yeah, back a little while ago, back when the Cowboys played the Packers in during Super Wildcard Week, as they call it, I won $75 off a $10 bet. Let's see. Oh. Okay. Let's see. So my Super Bowl bet that I placed back on August 31st, 2023, a $30 wager. The payout is $330. But I have the option to cash out 155 right now. Huh, that's interesting actually. I'm not sure why I have that option right now to cash that out actually. That's huh. Maybe that's because part of the wager was actually them making it to the Super Bowl too and winning the NFC possibly. I don't know. So I'm kind of curious about that. But yeah, if we get that 6th ring, I'll be able to cash out $330 for that as well. Yes, Chase Young better bring it tomorrow. There was in the Lions game, he literally just let Jahmyr Gibbs walk into the end zone on one of the touchdowns. So yes, he needs to bring it tomorrow. Hopefully that lap dance that he got for those chicks, and hopefully the money that he probably paid for puts him in the right state of mind for tomorrow. And the Niners are, of course, staying in Lake Las Vegas, which is good. So they're not around the strip a whole lot. And I stayed at that same hotel they're staying in Lake Las Vegas the previous time I was there. And it's a really nice area. It definitely is a different vibe than the strip. So that'll be good for both teams. The fact that they're off the strip, but I can imagine what did Chase Young just call himself a lift, or he probably had his own driver just call himself just get picked up from, because I know the players definitely did go to the strip a little bit. Oh, also Kyle Shanahan during a Super Bowl opening night looked like he was a little tipsy, which I thought was really funny. And I think it was Willard and Dibbs that pointed out the fact that Kyle Shanahan did not use the word like, or did not say even once when he was tipsy. Rocket, if I win the 330, I'll probably just put it in my savings. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll go to there are strip clubs here. I could do that, but nah. I'll be smart. I'll just put it in my savings. Maybe I'll save it for my next Vegas trip, whenever that might be. But my voice is getting a little tired, so I'm probably gonna end this stream on yes, Otis. Kyle Shanahan definitely did sound calm for sure. Absolutely. It sounded like just like how sometimes, when I get a little high, although sometimes it gives me more anxiety, a lot of times it'll make me more calm. And that's the same with when I get a little tipsy too, when I get a little drunk. I don't even get how people get violent when they're drunk, because whenever I get drunk, I'm just mellowed the fuck out. I'm just like, I don't have a care in the world usually. I'm just like, I love everything. I love everyone. Like, so I don't get how people even get violent when they're drunk. I think I like how Kyle Shanahan's kind of that type. He's like a mellow drunk kind of guy. I like that. But yes, thank you. Thank you, Rockin' New Area 84. Thank you, Otis. Thank you, Ernie Chavez. Thank you, SG Sports Talk. Thank you to some of the legendary Niner video makers that popped in. 49er Tone popped in a little bit ago. He's an OG. So is Big Bear 77, who makes videos on here as well. You can check out his channel as well. And thank you to Shafiki, who watches my stuff on Twitch. Shout out to Keeping the Faith, aka JD, who was on my stream at the beginning. And of course, shout out, don't forget AJ Hollywood Cruz. Shout out to AJ Cruz as well. I appreciate all your guys' support. And the time has come to get that 6th ring. Let's get it done. Danny Golding TV is out. Peace.